Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you out of Side Quest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 219. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me here as always, except when he's not, is BET Calloway.
Pods. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong bit.
And joining us now is Pods.
In the key
Of
Springfield.
Yeah,
Long.
we did it! Yeah.
3 weeks of practice, guys, was all worth it.
Representation of the energy verb.
So glad we played the sinking game to get all our timing right on that one.
And the harmonies were beautiful. Yes, long-time listeners will remember James and Nick from Pods in the Key of Springfield joining us from beautiful Adelaide. How you doing, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty good, man.
Yeah, we're still alive. We're going.
Pretty good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's good to be podcasting again. This is actually our first time watching The Simpsons, so it was interesting for us.
For those, have I explained the premise? Yeah, this is a Simpsons Index. We watch and review Simpsons. Normally it's 3 episodes, but each one comes from a different
and
decade.
what is The Simpsons, Elliot?
It's a cartoon created by Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's freaking sweet.
You have to remember, Pods in the Key of Springfield only read the novelizations of Simpsons episodes up until this point.
Yeah.
They're unfamiliar with the visual format.
Yeah, I've
so
actually only seen the original manga, so I'm not as familiar with the American cartoon version.
weebs in the Key of Springfield.
You know, in the original, they all go to hell when they die. In this one, they have to come up with another dimension. It's,
As they say, life is hell.
Hey.
Life in hell. Damn it!
Oh,
No, they do say life is hell.
People say.
That's Homer's famous catchphrase.
Sorry, we should let you podcast.
Who cares? Like I said, this is one of the last of the current format anyway, before we move into
Gasp.
reviewing only new episodes of The Simpsons, which still means episodes from the last 14 years.
gee whiz.
Yeah.
But yeah, later on tonight, we'll be finishing our reviews of 2 seasons, but
Wow.
we've still got to wait to go with this season, season 23, where we just reviewed episode 5, The Food Wife. First released in November of 2011, it was directed by Timothy Bailey, not the Australian weatherman, and written by Matt Selman. In this episode, Marge and the kids get into being food bloggers, and Homer's position as fun dad is being usurped or something. Hey guys, what'd you think?
It was okay.
All right, so my first note for this episode, it just says, Borat voice, my wife, because the word wife was in the name of the episode.
Yep.
So, that was my first thought. I don't feel like I need to do the impression, but I feel like the listener
Everyone can
is
hear
now
it, yeah.
filling in the blanks themselves.
Again, with your experience with manga, you really paint the picture with your words, James. It's lovely.
Yeah, my waifu is what they say in the original manga. But I can...
Well, I brought this episode because I thought, as a gamesman, a person involved in the games industry, that the intro to this episode would stand out to you. Does it, for better or worse?
It does. My second note after Borat voiced my wife just says, you can't just go to E3. You can't just walk in. E3's not going to be in Springfield, and they have VIP. Look, there was like a period where they started letting the general public into E3. They were like, you could buy tickets, but they were very expensive, and it's not a good like consumer event, really. It's a work event. If you're going there as good for work, it's a good work opportunity.
Very early installment of Nick's Anal Corner, James. This was an event called E4.
Nick's Anal Corner.
You got me again, Nick. Yeah, it was that PSP game, Every Extra Extend. What's the name of that game? There's a game on the PSP called E4. I did not look this up.
You're looking at people who did not own a PSP.
Well, neither did I. But,
I'm a Funtendo guy, personally.
Funtendo, yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, look, I guess the representation of E3, which I did get to go to one time,
Oh, nice.
was fine. I don't know. There was a lot of noise, a lot of very tired people wandering around. Yeah, you know, there were no jokes, but I guess it kind of looked like E3.
No, fair enough. What year did you go? What was any of the big announcements, out of curiosity?
I went 2014. Pretty quiet year in terms of announcements. I was there with Disney. So that was the Disney Infinity 2 year. So I got to check that out. I got to check out Fantasia, which they were working on. Surprisingly good game. What did Nintendo have that year? That was like the Smash Brothers year. That was the year they announced Splatoon, which was cool because I got to interview the producers of Splatoon.
Oh, no shit. Awesome.
Yep, I got to interview Shigeru Miyamoto. Have I talked about that with you before?
Oh, wow.
Indeed.
Yeah, that was a whole thing that happened. That was good.
Is that when you met Charles Martinet as well?
Yeah, I got to meet Charles Martinet. I've got a very nice video with him that I could show you.
It is the funniest thing. I've seen it. Yeah, Charles Martinet is doing his Charles Martinet thing, so enthusiastic and talking about Super James, and you're like, yep.
I could not match his enthusiasm if I tried. A delightful man.
How about you, Nick? What stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
Easily my favourite part of the episode was a very understated little visual gag where they were looking at something on one of their laptops, looking at a food blog. We'll get to all of this later. And then Homer put a laptop on top of the laptop, and then Lisa put a third laptop. And I was like, yes, fuck yes, stack the laptops.
And Lisa's laptop just comes out of nowhere from behind the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted them to keep going because they weren't focusing on it. And you know how, like, a complaint we make a lot about modern Simpsons episodes is they
Aren't very good.
yeah, and one of those reasons is that they make the joke too obvious. But I like that in the background of this scene, they just kept stacking laptops. It was delightful.
No, it was the classic hat on a hat. What you don't know is if you put a third hat on, it's funny again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how hats work.
More hats.
BT, hat expert.
Hat laptop.
What stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
Well, there weren't too many hats, unfortunately. I'm going to throw to a negative just because, going against the grain here, breaking I'm a rebel. What do you want?
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, 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 indeed. Like, I remembered this one was going in, like, oh, cool, this is the one where, Homer ends up in a meth den. I think the meth jokes are actually kind of okay in this one, unlike a lot of other Simpsons meth jokes. And then it gets spoiled when Cletus rocks up and goes, oh, dang, our favorite meth lab. We brought the chillins and everything. It's like, oh, you just couldn't resist, could you? Because, Homer rocks up there thinking it's going to be a fancy deconstructed place. And he's like, oh, no name on the door. Well, that's, a fancy restaurant for you. And the idea that, all the junkies look like hipsters, like, okay, fair. This is getting a bit more mileage than I thought. And then, then they shat ye bed.
Yeah.
There's my negative, just to bring the mood down for all you.
I'm sad now.
Good.
It really dates the episode that they go into a meth den and the whole thing is not just a Breaking Bad reference.
Yeah, I mean, Wiggum does say freeze Breaking Baddies, so it must have started at least.
But if this is like 4 years later, the whole thing would have been Breaking Bad exclusively and specifically.
Yeah,
and then Bob Odenkirk would have popped up and like, I'm Saul Goodman in this one. I'm being wasted. See you later.
Yeah. Ugh.
But yeah, it's once again Simpsons coming very close to having Homer imbibe drugs and then just camera cutting away quickly. I really wanted to see Homer do meth. That's what I'd change about this one.
Yeah, he got very close to the glass barbecue. I was very surprised.
It's one of these moments, it's been pointed out elsewhere before, but it's like, it's still funny to me that this is on Disney Plus, this exact same scene is like so close to watching Bambi or Snow White or something.
Yeah. And yet they're not allowed to show Little Bart's little cartoon bottom anymore. But then you've got Homer,
Butts will corrupt the youth, as we know.
Yeah.
But on Disney Plus, you can see his like grimy little dick if you watch the movie.
Grimy's not the adjective you usually use for that, James. What's the adjective you usually use?
God, it's been a while. What is the adjective I use?
You usually say fishy little dick.
Yes, that's right. It's fishy little dick.
And it used to piss me off all the time. And when you said grimy, I was like, no.
Yeah, now you missed it.
No. We have to use the germane adjective.
Absence has made the heart grow fonder.
It really has.
I thought it was just little body boys, little body boy.
Little buddy boy.
Little buddy boy.
I've forgotten all of these things about our podcast. We haven't done an episode in a while.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what we're doing. We're helping you remember.
Yeah. No, this is actually an intervention.
Yeah, stop podcasting again,
Yeah,
damn
this
it.
episode has like that Ratatouille moment where
Don't you mean Rakakuni?
Yes, I do mean Rakakuni. Look, it's got the Ratatouille Rakakuni moment where the meth dealer remembers his childhood experience with apple pie. Is that what you're trying to do to us? Have us remember the happy moments of recording our own podcast?
Yeah, when you were all sepia-toned little potty boys.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I've been too harsh a critic and It's funny, whenever I talk about Ratatouille, I'm always like, yeah, that's a great movie about, like, a cynical critic who remembers his... But I was like, no, that's a movie about, like, a pleasant rat. No, it's about the importance of good criticism.
Mm-hmm. When your mother would make delicious homemade podcasts.
Fresh out of the oven.
Just come fresh out. Just serve it to miniature versions of the both of you. Same facial hair. That's what I picture is all I can say.
Plate after plate of piping hot Bluetooth speaker.
And what stands out to me, I actually like the general storyline of Marge trying to be the fun parent.
Yeah.
It's not executed the best, but yeah, I think there's some charm to this story of, Marge finally finding something with the kids that they can do together that's nice. And it sort of makes sense for Homer not to be too adventurous with his palate.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they ended up outside the Ethiopian restaurant, we did look at each other and say, right, this is about to pivot. And it
could go one of two ways.
It could get really ugly. And I still felt a bit weird about it all, just because...
A lot of the names of the food feel like they're taking the piss a little bit.
And, like, I get that the point they're making is, like, how silly it is to be closed-minded, but I also still didn't enjoy seeing that closed-mindedness.
Which raises a question for me. Is Marge a Karen?
Has this come up on Index before?
Holy
has
shit.
We were
Karen
talking about
tendencies.
hot takes before. Here are some hot takes.
Yeah. Along there with the Marge has bunny ears, like, is Marge a Karen? This is the new theory.
I mean, she has, I feel like in these later seasons, and maybe some of she has Karen-like tendencies that sometimes will get amped up or turned down, depending on what the episode needs from her.
True.
In this one, she has some Karen moments. Apologies to any Karens listening. You're probably fine. And if you're not, fuck you.
Like, imagine that if your name just became synonymous with just, a particularly terrible person. Sorry to all the Elliots out there for whatever I might do in the future to ruin it for everyone.
If it's not you, it'll be someone else. You may as well lead the pack.
Yeah. But I mean, there is like a couple of things like, rolling up the windows, locking, and the names of the food that gets into dicey territory. But I think overall they handled it okay, and I am tempted to try out doing a Gorsha myself sometime soon. Yeah,
when they were talking about using pancakes as spoons, I was like, tell me more episode. I would like to experience this.
Yeah, well, I remember anytime we'd order Thai back when we were living together, get an extra roti bread, as we like to call it, food mop.
Oh, yeah. Finding out you could just put butter chicken into a roti bread and eat it like a taco was a day that changed my life.
You know, you can really do that with any meal, though. You just get a piece of bread, put the meal in the bread.
Way to rob me of my victory, James.
Little life hack for you there. Yeah, why not eat more bread, you dingus? That's my life hack.
Some bread's nicer than others, though. Like a chili cheese naan shits all over a Wonder White.
Hot takes.
Yeah, I mean, just don't buy Wonder White.
Well, okay.
Support your local bakery. That's my my white privilege opinion on bread.
But then what are you going to put Nutella on? A chili cheese naan? Think it through.
Would that work?
I doubt it.
It would come close.
One way to find out.
Guys, we'll be back in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Wackiness. Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
Marge's taste buds, we had an extreme zoom in where they're all dancing and a couple of them in cages for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Go-Go Buds.
I did not care for that.
Yeah, I was confused and alarmed by the Go-Go Buds.
Yeah, I feel like you should be.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page, BT.
Good.
Well, I liked that visual, and I thought they even brought it together in a cute yet disgusting way at the end, where then you see Marge and Homer's buds like intertwining.
I didn't like that. I didn't like the implication that their taste buds are fucking each other. It's not good to me.
That every time you tongue kiss a person, that your little avatars in your buds are fucking.
That's just not how it works.
What's in the buds' mouths? Further buds? Is it just a fractal of buds forever?
It's a Tool song, BT.
Oh, God.
Eternally recursive taste buds.
What is it? The end of the movie 7? What's in the buds?
What?
Well, somebody will get that.
Fair enough.
In the wackiness as well, Marge has a dream sequence with guest stars of the episode, Anthony Bourdain, Gordon Ramsay, and the incredibly cancelled Mario Batali.
Wait. Was that actually Gordon Ramsay?
Yeah.
doing what sounded like a bad Gordon Ramsay impression.
James said at several points in that very brief scene, this is a really bad impression. Why didn't they get a better voice for it?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like him. It's really weird. I've been watching a lot of Gordon Ramsay lately, and that's not what he sounds like.
Oh, really?
He's just a bad actor, I guess.
He needs to berate himself to act better, is what you're saying.
Well, he should have just popped in and said, Marge, I'm going to treat you to the most amazing dream. And then, made her some sea bass and like, delicious. Taste that. You know that, yeah? Like, he's got his phrases. He should have been saying them.
Well, they at least got a couple of censored fucks in there, which is like, yeah, not a common occurrence for The Simpsons, so that's fun.
Yeah,
Look at that. he has things other than fuck. He could have been saying.
I'm not that familiar with the Ramsey verse.
Ramsey verse. Is that when Neighbours takes place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore. That's like Mario Batali, very cancelled.
Yeah. What's the deal with Mario Batali? I haven't heard anything about
Serial
it.
harasser.
What's the deal?
Was that sorry?
Huge harasser.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, Elliot, did you correct yourself because you knew that one of us would make a joke about cereal and you knew it wasn't appropriate?
Yeah.
To be clear, I wasn't baiting you so I could make that joke. I genuinely didn't hear what you said. Had I heard it, I would have made that joke.
But yeah, fortunately, he only got one throwaway line, but apparently Bourdain had some more material written for him that was, cut for time, but...
this is a very full episode. We get just the Cloud Simpsons, and that's it. We're straight in the episode.
I actually wondered if that was a weird Disney Plus glitch, because I don't have Disney Plus, and we're watching this at James's house, and I was like, is there like an intro skip option that James hit that I didn't see? But no, you're right. No, just very full episode.
Yeah, it's quite a common trait of Simpsons, especially in the 30s, actually. Yeah, to just go from clouds to episode starting. It's
Well, the Simpsons back in the 30s, they were sort of high on the post-war euphoria in the lead up to
weren't we all?
World War II.
Oh, God, how true that might be soon. Yeah.
So I started saying that and then realized, the 30s has the least identity out of any decade. I was like, shit, I've got nothing to say on this.
It was when the cold shadow of war was once again revealing its head, and everyone was terrified for the future for the first time since extended period of optimism.
Yeah, funny stuff to talk about on a podcast.
And it was great. And it was, I believe, in the 1930s, it was the Great Depression, which is why I have nicknamed season 30 onwards the Disney Depression.
That's it. And we still fly that name flag today. Jesus Christ.
Fly that name flag today. Hey, kids, get out there and fly that name flag today.
Do it today.
Is your hot water system broken? Get BT and he'll flick your switch.
I'll flick it.
Oh, he will.
Deep in that Disney depression.
Any other wackiness from this episode you want to mention?
Homer's ghost gives himself the Heimlich.
Oh, yeah, Homer dies.
That did happen.
Yep.
Marge saying that her car breaks down because old squirrels always go to die in it.
Yeah, you were mentioning before how they sort of drove by the laptop joke without really hanging on it. I thought that line was fine enough. They didn't need to, go into her
have
engine
a squirrel
lights.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead squirrel light.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, Elliot, speaking of wackiness, was that Tim and Eric in this episode?
Other guest stars of this episode, Tim Heidecker and Eric Warholm, playing characters named Amuse Bruce and...
Amuse Bruce.
And Voice Garth.
That's pretty good. Why are those names not made clear in the episode?
They should absolutely have done
that.
More
Is so much better than any of the puns that are in the episode. Like Funtendo Z. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, well, man, I go back and forth on the E4 thing because, that whole opening 5 minutes or whatever is just how slightly different can we change names of things?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are no actual jokes in really the whole episode. But...
I didn't mind Marching Band as their rock band thing.
I enjoyed that.
And then even it's got, a little study controller with her books. I like that.
The one that I came closest to liking was the concept of a human centipede game for the Atari.
Oh, I missed that one.
It's just Centipede has been renamed Human Centipede.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of Pac-Man in a line.
Oh. Yeah. I saw Human Centipede and did not click that it was. Yeah, okay.
Have any of you actually seen any of those Centipede movies?
No.
I saw the first one in a cinema.
What the fuck are you talking about? Why did you go to the movies to see Human Centipede?
You've seen 10 movies.
I know.
What a terrible date were you on when they wanted to go see Human Centipede?
I was on a
sequence.
I was on a date.
Of course you were.
Good God.
If you're seeing Human Centipede, you're seeing it on a date.
Yep.
With somebody who wanted to go and see Tom Six's opus, Human Centipede.
Yep. Tell you what, I don't remember a single thing about that movie or that date, so I don't think either of them went particularly well.
Not a single thing? I think there's one thing that'd stand out.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The main centerpiece of the movie, if you will, stand out. But,
Pause the entire podcast, though. We got to get into this. Whose idea was it?
that was hers.
Okay.
I did also, I think, no, it must have been a different date I was on where I suggested Bowling for Columbine. Not a great first date movie, I'll be honest.
So I'm trying to think of a worse movie to take on a date.
I don't know that it's possible.
Either of the sequels.
I don't know, Todd Solondz's Happiness. That would be a pretty bad date movie.
Do you mean Happiness, the 90s Brazilian soap opera?
Sure, why
Of
not?
course he does.
What about Antichrist? That would be a bad first date movie.
Oh, yeah,
The
that'd be
house
rough.
that Jack builds. A lot of the Von Trier
Lars
back
von Trier,
catalog.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that recent calf fucking movie, Tatane?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a strange movie. I saw that.
Yeah.
She really fucked those cars.
And loved
I
it.
just want the listeners to know that I have deeply furrowed my brow at the reference of a car
Oh, it's
fucking
furrowed.
movie because I didn't know what was happening.
It won the Palm d'Or. It was
Yeah, look.
The palm door?
Yeah.
Now we can go into the palm room and open the palm window.
They said, you've won the Palm d'Or. And she said, do you say car door? And I'm like, no, Palm d'Or. And they were disappointed.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, Nick's brow is furrowed enough you could fly an X-Wing through it, so it's deep, guys. Don't worry.
Pod racing?
No,
No.
sort of.
No. What is this?
Is that the one Star Wars
It's a
thing you
Star
know?
Wars.
Now this is pod racing.
Now that's a furrowed brow.
Segueing perfectly, too. How was the heart in this episode? Did y'all feel
Furrowed.
the bumps?
Come on, Marge's whole bit of, Homer always being the fun one and she never is. I got that. I felt that. Especially when she was like, oh, we can be the three mouth Musketeers. It's like, one, two, me? It was like, that's sweet.
Oh, yeah, I wept and wept.
That was tender.
And even trying to take him to the X Games, they end up going to the Cross Games.
Yeah, I did actually quite enjoy Flanders' bit there of...
There was one joke I liked in that. Like the hat on the hat of the second acronym. At first, a little annoyed,
Yeah.
but the fact that the acronym was
Had an acronym.
strict parental oversight rather than sports, that's a
Yeah.
pretty funny acronym.
Being the acronym
I like
for
that the
sports, yeah.
acronym for sports ends with sports is a real BYOBB situation.
For the second time this podcast, I'm going to say eternally recursive.
Ah.
I'm not going to say eternally recursive for a second time.
I mean,
that much is true.
It might not necessarily make sense in this context, but I've said it. And none of you can take that away from me.
Except the
Unless you
editor.
edit this part out, which is...
Yeah.
Editing Bay, Elliot Jay here. I have taken out everything that Nick has said.
We apologize for any background noises you might hear. And our fourth guest, no one.
But yeah, I mean, not that it was the best execution of it, but I thought, yeah, Marge's guilt throughout the dinner as well was sort of nicely felt, and yeah, that she wasn't enjoying anything. It all tastes like foam. Like, I think it was just, the turns the story needed to make. It just, again, reinforcing James's point. Not a lot of jokes.
Yeah, really not a lot of jokes. And things like with the deconstructed Caesar salad and, you're supposed to taste it in the following order, foam, syrup, gel, syrup, foam, syrup, gel. And it's like, this is something that could easily be mistaken for a joke, but it isn't one. Saying words is not the same as saying something funny.
Yeah.
As I am learning in this sentence.
Yeah, you just want someone to, throw a pie at someone else, sometimes.
Well, they threw a deconstructed pie, but...
Yeah.
Deconstructed pie.
No,
That's
but
good.
I mean, just, it's the same with the beginning where it's like, it's saying all these foodie blog sort of type of foods, wanky deconstructed, zero-G parsnips and all that bullshit. And it's like, no actual joke, just sort of saying things that are kind of off-brand, I guess.
Hated the song too.
Oh, I like the song.
Really?
I didn't mind it. Went on a bit too long.
I didn't really understand why they were choosing New York as, the song to parody.
Empire State of Mind by Jay-Z featuring Alicia Keys.
Like, what is the... Yes, exactly. The song that we all know the name to. That's why I said New York to indicate the song that we all...
Is it because Jay-Z rhymes with foodie? Is that literally as close as they got?
Well, it is. Yeah,
Sure.
it's a concrete jungle dreams are made of. Is that how that song goes?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it was pretty weak. Yeah, we're blogging a food blog. It's like, it doesn't have any of those like matching rhymes that a good parody makes. But yeah, Tim and Eric were assisting on the lyrics with this one, which I think helped it quite a bit because it stopped it
Something-
from being a grating Simpsons parody in that way.
Something that Nick said to me years ago, Nick, who was on this very podcast, that I always think about in these situations is
The
that...
furrow is back. Well done.
Nick once said to me that if you're doing a song parody,
Oh, yeah.
you only really need to do like 2 lines and get out. Like, once the subject of the parody is clear, you don't really need to write the rest of the song.
So-
Which is the more I think about it, the more I think Nick is actually right on this. At first I'm like, that's one of those wild things that Nick says, but every time I encounter a song parody, I'm like, you can't just keep playing the fucking chorus over and over again. There's not new jokes each time.
Love to see Nick go to a Weird Al concert and just going, yeah, we get it, next. Do the next one.
So my thing, which I think, Jaco, you've done a pretty good job of summarizing, but it's actually every parody song starts with one joke. Just say that joke and then fuck off and do something else. Trying to create 15 other jokes, they're not going to hit. They never do, and they just become a drag on. So, do the one joke,
Yep.
go away.
Life.
Oh, I don't know, man. Weird Al Yankovic's song Lasagna, every line is a killer.
I think Weird Al might be the exception to this.
Fucking looking forward to that movie.
The Daniel Radcliffe one? That looks like fun.
Yeah.
Is there a Weird Al movie coming out?
Yeah. Weird Al is a guy who I feel like I like him in principle, but whenever I'm actually listening to his music, I have the feeling Nick has about every other parody song.
He told me it was okay to be Weird Al.
Jim Butter once or twice, living in Amish paradise. That's funny. You don't need the rest of the song. I agree.
They sell quilts at discount price.
Pretty good.
Jim Butter once or twice, so that's the line I'm
Yeah. Well,
keeping out of that song.
I am a die-hard fan. I think it's probably too small for you to guys see, but yeah, in my closet there, 2 Weird Al Yankovic figures. One that's actually like him and one from The Simpsons.
Oh my god, he's trying to get out.
Yeah, wow. I also enjoy that there is a microphone pointed at a sideboard.
Does the existence of Weird Al Yankovic mean that there's a normal Al Yankovic out there somewhere as well?
Or what? I mean, it
He's
must.
just like an accountant.
Sensible Al Yankovic. Yeah.
And is that a sit-stand desk covered in amiibo?
It is indeed. That is exactly what that is.
I was on Ultra 64 the other week talking about Amiibo, and I still haven't cleaned up yet.
Yeah, fair enough.
I got a pile of my favorite ones here, like QB. That's my favorite Amiibo.
Oh, I love QB. I did get QB. I have some amiibo behind me. I don't think you're able to see them with the way the camera's
Oh,
moved,
they're
but-
not in the closet of shame anymore.
Some of them are.
Just the waifu ones.
And BT, you're not getting out of this. You've got a Queens of the Stone Age, 2 Queens of the Stone Age posters. Am I
Yes.
right?
Framed and everything.
And then a guitar case.
Yep.
I don't know what's in it, but it looks to be an SKB case, I reckon.
I don't
If,
know. what that
if
is.
I've got that right, I'm going to do a victory lap of Norwood.
The brand of guitar? No, I'm sorry.
No, the brand of the case.
Oh, I've never looked at the brand of the cat. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure in that is his Maton semi-acoustic.
Ooh, love a good semi. Acoustic.
I'm very sorry. That is a Hiscox case.
So you've got your semi and a Hiscox.
So that's more of an acoustic semi than a semi-acoustic.
So is your mate in the hardwood? Have you got hardwood Hiscox? Or
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's
Hardwood in
Queensland
Hiscox.
Queensland
Nick, please,
hardwood.
This is not an appropriate joke for this Simpsons podcast.
Ultimately,
Anyway.
did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Back to Homer smoking meth.
Yeah,
Did it feel? Do you feel?
integrity and such. Are the characters behaving like themselves?
Yep, Homer's wacky fun. Kids have more fun with him. Marge feels left behind. It all fits together.
Yeah. Homer had that one super sooky bit that I didn't really care for. But he has...
Yeah, well, I agree. That was too much
Yeah.
entirely.
Crawling across the floor and crying for a year.
Yeah, too much by
but
half.
I think in terms of integrity, I mean, Homer's definitely had sooky moments before, but this was just late era Simpsons dragging out a thing for too long, hoping it'll become funny.
Had to cut the intro to make way for that.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah, had to cut Anthony Bourdain down for that.
And anything in this episode, you have to remember they decided there was no way they could cut it for time. They were like, this is packed. We're keeping every single
Every
letter
frame.
of the script. Yeah.
Which is sort of the opposite of a lot of episodes from this sort of back 13 seasons, isn't it? Where they have like 11 minutes of material and then they just have to put in a bunch of ads from the undies at the end or whatever.
Like a 7-minute couch gag to make up for it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's like kind of what's disappointing about this one, because I think it's functionally very Simpsons-y. I think all the characters are on point, but it's like the show itself and the joke telling is just a bit off, and off enough to make me go, huh.
Yeah. The third act of this one does let it down.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, I wish they dug in harder with like the E4 thing at the start and like, made some more actual wry observations and jokes and whatever.
I did like the game designer who working on the game cost him his marriage. You know, there's a real problem in the video game industry. I'm very lucky to work for a developer where I don't do overtime and we have a 4-day work week and like everything is good. But I know that it is the exception, not the norm. So you know,
norm.
it's good.
I don't know if you know this, but do you guys know my dad's name is Norm? So
Mamma mia.
I knew.
yeah, well, I know you knew, but like, because every time you've talked about that on podcast, it's like when I hear a character named Elliot in a thing, it just like does a weird
Triggers
thing.
a part of your brain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure James, Nick, and Ben wouldn't have that problem, being that your guys' names are very, very common. But
Oh yeah.
My initials are NPC, so whenever you, like, if ever there's a character in a video game that you cannot play as, I'm always like, oh, I feel a certain kinship.
There I am. Because you can't play as Nick in most video games.
True.
No, you can't.
I've tried. You can't load those settings.
what about Nick? Oh fuck, damn it! I couldn't think of any Nicks in video games. It's true.
Stevie. No.
It might have been a Nick in a Dead Rising, maybe?
That's what I was trying to think, but isn't that a Frank?
There is a Frank. There might be a Nick. No, it's probably just Frank.
Although it might be Dead Rising 3 and they switched protagonists
Is
for
there
a
a
while.
Nick in Infamous?
Ooh.
Does anyone remember Infamous?
Cole, I think he was a Cole, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of Nicole. Yeah.
I feel like, video game names are rarely the most common names. Because you have fewer characters to work with. I don't know. Who can say? I guess me, because I'm a video game narrative designer. I guess I would be the expert on this.
Yeah, get on that, dude. Get a Nick and an Elliot in a video game, why don't you?
Yeah, why haven't you put us in the game yet?
Yeah, I can work on it. I can get
Fuck
something
yeah.
in there.
I reckon Nick Chop Chop would have taken off so much.
Yeah, if we could get the Nick license, that would be a huge get for us.
Yeah. I mean, how much your life rights, man? Just to make a game about your life itself.
Probably not that much, to be honest.
Okay, well, free pass, guys.
Until then, yes or no? Would you watch this episode again?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. Like, I guess I wouldn't actively turn it off.
Yeah, I agree. So this is, laundry playlist for me.
Yeah. What are some other Simpsons episodes you think would pair nicely with this one?
That one where Homer's a fruit critic is the same episode, but better.
Oh, yeah. Look who's coming to criticize dinner, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. So in the big pan through in 4E or E4, whatever the hell it was called, there is a Charmskin interactive sign. So this is a playlist of Charmskin.
Good old Charmskin. Do you guys know Charmskin?
No, what's Charmskin?
It's the production company shared by Chalmers and Skinner.
Oh,
And it pops up more
okay.
than once for some reason.
What do they produce?
They did a film when they had a film festival episode that starred James Jarmil. Was that his name?
Why did they do another film festival episode?
To bulk up the film festival playlist like this one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no, they just make the show for podcasters now. That's the only reason it still exists.
Hey, have you done that episode where they become podcasters yet?
Yeah.
The
Podcast news or whatever it is.
well, they don't
There's
become.
the Mark Maron one, and then there's another one.
Yeah. So Mark Maron's interviewing Krusty for one.
Find out who his
Sad.
guys are. Yeah.
Yep.
Whether he ever saw Damon Wayans go up there and do a jazz set,
And the other one is Marge and Lisa become true crime podcast fans, and Yardley Smith stars as herself in it.
Because Yardley Smith did that weird true crime podcast where there was that huge falling out where she maybe fucked over her co-host.
Really?
Yeah, that's like a whole
I
drama.
missed
there. Yeah,
that.
go and look
Oh,
that
wow.
up because I do not remember enough of the details to accurately communicate what happened.
Bit of sizzle there.
Yeah. Oh.
Hmm.
Yeah, let's fix this episode. BT, what would you like to change?
Just a lot of the pacing of that third act. I think a lot of the plot points of it are fine, but there's just something lacking in the joke telling. Cut that Homer whining bit right the fuck down. That's one of my biggest down arrows. Get rid of the Cletus meth joke. I'm so sick of them. And yeah, I think maybe, because there's a line that I kind of liked for Homer where he said, you saved me from the danger you put me in. And I like that line, but then to follow it up with, I'm so happy and angry. It's like, no, this is like you finally getting a bit of your own medicine after all these years of shenanigans. So yeah, remove that second bit. Just tighten up those screws, tighten up those dogs.
James, what do you reckon?
This is the latest in a long line of episodes that starts off being about Marge and then just sort of pivots to being about Homer for some reason at a certain point. And I wish they would just let Marge have an episode every now and then. Like, why can't it just be more about Marge and her feelings as a food blogger? Why does it have to be about Homer then feeling like left out and then his whole misadventure on the side? Just have the courage to make an episode about a woman who was approximately my age. I was going to say middle-aged woman, and I'm like, no, that was like my childhood conception of who Marge is. Now I'm like, oh shit, I'm Marge's age, okay.
Yeah, wasn't that like, remember being a kid and it's like, oh yay, now I'm Lisa's age, now I'm Bart's age, and now it's, I'm Homer's
Now I'm Grandpa's age.
and I'm Homer's haircut. How about you, Nick? What do you reckon?
There was a scene where Homer is lathing baseball bats because that's what he does when he's sad.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that because he's made baseball bats in the past. But when he tosses the freshly made bat onto the pile of bats that he's been making, the pile of bats is so poorly drawn.
Yeah, it's really weird.
They're really sparsely spread out and like...
Yep. That's not how bats pile.
That's not how bats pile. My one improvement for the episode is draw the pile of bats better.
Yeah, better bat
Tighten
piling.
up your dogs and pile up your bats.
Pile up your bats.
Yeah, I mean, I only had the boring note of make more funny, but, like, James, you bring up a good point. Like, Homer was so initially, yeah, go for it, Marge. Like, the idea that he's getting left out is, yeah, just well, how can we get Homer back into this episode? You know, we started out with Homer. Let's make a nice little Homer bread sandwich here. Yeah, let's not have Homer come back, I guess.
Yeah, kill him. It's fine.
Especially when...
Yeah, he dies in the
Homer's- Yeah, especially when Homer's exclusion from this new adventure is entirely of his own choosing.
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
says he doesn't want any of this weird food. Weird being his word, not mine.
Yeah, he wants to dine at one of the 4 Krusty Burgers that are out in viewing distance. See? Here they are in viewing distance.
Yeah,
Thank you,
he's
Simpsons.
being the real. He's being a real Karen in that moment.
He's got a good line of, I don't want to think about food, I want to enjoy it. It's like, okay, that's fair.
All right, I think we are here. Yeah, James, do you have any other notes about this episode before we rank it?
Most of these notes are just about how the jokes aren't very good. I actually think we've maybe hit everything. Oh, Eyeball of Death looks like a pretty good ride.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Itchy is juggling a bunch of big metal balls. It's a new ride. I'm like, that seems like a pretty complicated piece of construction.
Only passed a safety panel of 3-2, and that third one wasn't cheap. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I have another note on my page that just says, Bob's Burgers is a good show. I just learned a lot about Bob's Burgers while I was watching this. Much better show.
Astounding that in its 12th season, it's way more consistently good than The Simpsons was in its 12th season.
Yeah, it's wild.
Nick?
In the dream where they had the montage of chefs, it was enough to have Swedish Chef there. You didn't need a bad Swedish Chef impression. The bad impression really annoyed me.
Paired with the bad impression of Gordon Ramsay. Left
Exactly,
a bad
Gordon
taste in my
Ramsay
mouth.
doing a bad Gordon Ramsay impression.
The most amazing impression.
And then the last note I have is home meth simsize.
God damn it, Nick.
It's quite the note.
BT.
It's forward again. Let's see. I like when Homer gets back from E4 and is all like, the kids are bouncing around cheering. And he just goes, I need a nap. I mean, that's just some strong energy there, and I feel it.
Yep, especially at Homer's age, feeling that very hard.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it says when they've got the food blog, if you pause, you can see various things that they're into, and most of them it's food, but for some reason it's Lisa. It's a lot of actors and musicians, and also Edward Cullen. So we now know Lisa is Team Edward. Do with what you like with this information.
I think, yeah, that's just bringing on to another point against this episode that I had, that as well in the E4 and as well with the food blog, there were just too much like walls of text that you would have had to pause the episode to...
That weren't funny when I took time out of my life to pause them.
If only this had been The Simpsons Twilight years.
Yeah.
Woof.
And then your job would be done. You would have finished reviewing this already.
Oh, yeah.
You could take a break.
Till we die! Till we die. Just the button on that, when Homer's sad, he makes baseball bats. He's like, when I'm happy, I make birdhouses. And then the next scene, he just pops out with like an exquisitely made birdhouse. That got me. I like that one.
The birdhouse works because he just walks in and puts down the very complicated birdhouse and does not draw attention to it.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
a
exactly.
rare bit of restraint in later Simpsons.
Weird how many jokes don't land because they're pulling too much attention, and how many they have that do because they don't. And it's like, you could learn from yourself in the same episode.
They could learn a lesson from that.
Yeah, well, I mean, even one joke where Homer's like writing off their food, oh, you're eating all your weird stuff and walrus moustaches. Then it cuts to Bart eating walrus moustaches. I didn't mind that, even though it's the exact same thing complaining about. At E4 as well, they have an Angry Birds that knocks over a children's hospital for some reason.
I do like the implication that children are going to die.
It's always fun.
I went darker with that than I thought when I started that sentence.
Put it in the playlist of the 6 cinder blocks are missing. There will be no children's hospital, aka James's favorite episodes.
So it's a much better episode.
It's true. It's true.
I actually really enjoyed the Homer first-person shooter sequence, trying to get to the Funtendo Z-Zoo presentation, which I think is the only time a Wii U has been parodied in anything. Wow.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, Wii U, lest we forget. And Bourdain has a bidet spraying champagne up his butt, apparently. All right, that's all my notes. It's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it a participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best. Oh, the very best. The ones the Simpsons episodes could not episode without. You give cubic zirconia. Hey, it's been 219 episodes. You know what the fuck is going on by now.
Yep.
I'm giving this one a bronze. I almost want to give it higher because it's like a lot more competent than a lot of Simpsons episodes from this era. But yeah, it's all the reasons I listed earlier. BT, what do you reckon?
Yep, more sort of bronze. I was at a silver for a little bit there, but ultimately, yeah, you have to stick the landing. It's the number one most important thing.
Yeah.
And the heart is okay, but it doesn't quite, get deep enough for me to really, really love it. So yeah, bronze seems fair to me.
Yeah. James, what do you reckon?
I am going to go on this one participant because I generally feel like I might as well have not even watched this episode. Like, it was kind of just nothing. Like, it didn't make me angry, didn't make me happy. It's the equivalent of, you're hungry and you have, like, a piece of white bread and you're still hungry. I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me.
Wouldn't have the chili cheese on.
I'm already forgetting it.
It gets the rare white bread ranking.
I don't know. I feel like a bronze would imply that I had a better time than I did.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm just sort of happy that I didn't have a actively bad time. So I'm going participant.
Put that on a headstone. Nick, what do you reckon?
I'm actually also going participant. I don't know if it's because James and I were infecting each other with our views when we were watching it. There were a couple of groans in the room as we watched it, but independently of James, and he's definitely not exerting any pressure onto me by currently pinching me under the camera. But I am also saying participant.
All right. Well, that is a completely split ranking, but we average up because we're nice. That'll be a dull bronze, and it'll be the second episode from season 23 to get a dull bronze. It'll be joining Bart Stops to Smell the Roosevelts, which is the first Chalmers-focused episode.
Yeah.
So does this make this like the best episode of this season or what?
It's got to be up there, honestly. Hold on, let me...
Wait a minute. This season that has that that book heist one that I remember being pretty decent.
Oh, the book
Yep.
job's great. I
Yep.
think we,
Got a silver,
gave that...
I think. Maybe shiny silver. Can't remember.
No, not shiny silver.
Pretty sure I got a silver.
That got a shiny bronze.
There we go. Wow, I thought way too highly.
The highest score.
Yeah, well, yeah, you went bronze on that, BT, so go to you.
Ha ha. Ah.
Yeah, okay, so that is equal first with The Man in the Blue Flannel Pants, which is...
Oh, that sounds riveting.
yeah. Oh, and Holidays of Futures Past as well, which It's like a Future Jump episode from the later years that's not too bad.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, now it's time we go to the teens era, and we're going all the way back to season 19. And I'm very excited to finish off season 19 with you all tonight, because we're doing an episode called E Pluribus Wiggum. Has anyone seen this one before?
That sounds familiar,
Yeah, I had the same thing.
but I don't know.
It initially sounded familiar, but I think there's a Family Guy episode that I'm getting it confused for.
Wait, is this the one where, like, Wiggum, like, Ralph runs for mayor or something?
President.
President, okay.
And Nick, as the lawman, what you got some experience with Latin, right? What the fuck does E Pluribus Wiggum mean?
I have no idea. Because, look, it's a rumour, it's a myth that lawyers use Latin, right up until the point that there are heaps of Latin phrases that we use all the time. But I only know those ones. But isn't there, like, E Pluribus Unum?
Yeah.
And it's something to do with starting up your own country?
E Pluribus Unum, or Out of Many One, which is on the United States, one of them seals they got. You know the eagle that looks like it's flown into a window and it's holding arrows in one claw and a fig leaf in the other? It's on that thing.
I imagine the day the logo designer was coming up with that, and he was like, fuck, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do. Then all of a sudden, eagle, bam. That's it. All right, we're going to go watch that. We'll be back. And we are back, and we just watched a Teens Era episode, our final episode from season 19 to review. Woohoo! Woo, woo, woo. This was
Hooray.
episode 10, E Pluribus Wiggum, first released in January of 2008, if you can believe it from the episode's contents.
I can't.
Directed by Michael Polcino, written by Michael Price. In this episode, Homer explodes fast food and Ralph is running for president, and somehow those two things are connected. Hey guys, what did we think?
I do just want to check to see if my Disney Plus fucked up, but did this, like, stop in the middle of the second act for everybody?
It didn't end, right? There was no ending to this.
We get to Ralph being, the presidential candidate, and then it just stops.
I thought it ended really suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just sort of ran out of time. Maybe because that couch gag went for like 14 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not only the full intro, but also this extended, what do you call it? Wall cotton art.
I believe it's a reference to the Bayeux Tapestry.
Yeah, walk on
Thank you. I didn't think you could speak Latin, Nick.
All cotton art.
Yep.
My initial thoughts about the episode, that was the best milkshake ad I've ever seen.
Yep, maybe want a milkshake.
Yeah, Jackal, what about you?
Oh yeah, it was an odd one. It was a little less depressing than some of their other political episodes have been. Like on our podcast when we did Sideshow Bob Roberts, which is an obvious comparison point.
Mm-hmm.
Came out of that one like kind of deflated because it hit a little too close to home.
Yep.
This one kind of didn't have as much, maybe quite as much bite to it in some places, so it didn't make me quite as, like, distressed as that one did, but,
Still, Simpsons predicted it as fucking bullshit, but still, it was weird hearing Ralph go, in the year 2008, I want to make this country great again.
Yeah, that was wild.
Strange.
I mean,
Wow.
it can't be where it came from, right?
I don't
Prove
know.
it's not.
Yeah, I don't know if Trump was, because he's had several, runs at trying to be president that just never went anywhere. So I don't know if this was, something he said in the past before, or if someone's said it before and it's been co-opted by Trump in the future. But, it was fucking odd to hear.
I very much doubt that Trump has ever watched The Simpsons, or, I don't know, those stories about him watching Bloodsport, and he would make his sons fast forward through all the parts that weren't fights. I just don't think he's watching The Simpsons.
I thought you were going to say make him fast forward through the violent parts because he was scared, and that was funny. And I missed 10 seconds ago when I believed that.
Yeah, he just watches the first 10 minutes of all horror movies.
Yeah.
Remember how he was president for 4 years?
Yeah, it's wild.
So, much like Sideshow Bob Roberts, this was in a pile of episodes that I put off reviewing until that was behind us, which, the fact that he got there in the first place was optimistic thinking of me that he wouldn't get a second run of it, but thank fuck that didn't happen, and everything has gone back to normal.
Hey, remember that time he said Bigley?
Bigley?
Yeah. Comedy gold. A man mispronouncing words as he does the things
As he is wont to
that
do.
he does.
There's never been an American president that mispronounced words.
I'm scanning back through...
George W.
American.
Bush. It was a reference to George W. Bush.
Yeah.
And all the silly things. That
Who
he
is
used to
quite famous for it. And Elliot
Yeah.
even used to have a talking George W. Bush doll that would say many of his classic lines.
That's right.
Like, I know how hard it is to put food on your family.
Yes. And I think my favorite is, can I get this right off the top of my head? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again.
I remember that.
Just a man completely forgetting the phrase and then grabbing
Yep.
for any words to finish it.
US presidents, what a dignified
there one-
history.
Takes on a very different meaning.
And wasn't there one about, I believe, one day man and fish can
coexist.
cohabitulate? Yeah, or like,
Yeah.
Sir, the question was about rising sea tides.
Your job will be to build and maintain those robots.
So, yeah, this episode was fucking nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this was a fucking fever dream.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin, so I'll start with you guys. BT, for better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
I'm not going to help your situation much because at about the halfway point, I just wrote down, so, what's happening? And then later on just went, no, really, what's happening? And it just became my running theme because really, I kept waiting for the plot to start and for something that's named after Ralph to come in so late in the episode is really indicative of what's... They didn't even know what they were doing, quite clearly, in this episode. They didn't even know what they were going for.
It has a very thin interpretation of politics, which is...
Well, I got lost really
something.
early on when they're like, oh, we have this issue we want to resolve. Oh, we'll make it a part of our presidential primary. It's like, wait, I don't understand US politics, but what? I'm pretty sure, what?
To be fair, the whole system of like how the American election works is basically nonsense. And
I mean, I know that.
It's a meta commentary. Ooh.
It all meanders and then some fucker wins.
And I feel like this episode kind of, on some level, accurately represents how utterly broken their system is, just by not making a whole lot of sense and not really trying to justify itself, which is maybe a generous interpretation, but I did sort of feel like I was inclined to forgive how weird and meandering it was in places just because it is satirizing a system that is so fundamentally broken that what are you going to do? Like, you know, you can't make it more ridiculous than it already is.
There's a certain point, there needs to be a term, because there's a certain, some things are such extreme examples of themselves, they can no longer be parodied. Like if you're trying to make a parody of Bayonetta, I don't know how you would do it. Or,
Great game.
You know, yeah, no, big fan. But, you know, it's intentionally a massive exaggeration of itself. So how you would then parody it, you couldn't. Or there's a particular song I can't remember the title of that I will figure out later, which is a good example as well.
Ah. Well, I mean, I feel like Trump is a good example, and, you know, a lot of politics satire kind of went out the window with him, and I don't know what era of politics this feels like it's commenting on, like Bush, I guess, but, yeah, I don't, know about this whole point about, like, the two parties trying to court a candidate thing. Like, again, being Australians, maybe this is a bigger issue over there, but, yeah, this just felt weird.
So I found the song. It's Fever for the Flavor by Hot Action Cop, which is such a bro-douchey song, you can't parody it as being bro-douchey.
Is that the one, I want to get a little girly, fingy, I want to
That's
do a
the
little
one.
something, chicky, yeah.
Gentlemen, please, this is a family podcast.
It absolutely is cunting not.
Can I get a little yum yum, kitty kitty? Just a little something something, itty bitty. Do you wanna get triple X groovy? Give me some of that kind of movie. And then I spin you like a racket. Wiki. Let me get your butt naked. Licky. Here we go, yo, it's the scenario. Gonna strip you down like a car in the barrio.
Yeah, if you get a chance, poison your brain and listen to Fever Over Flavor.
It is fascinating.
It actually has got a bit of a hooky chorus. But anyway.
Hooky.
Nick, what stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
Homer smokes a cigar, and the box brand of cigar is
Yes.
Jerk-Ass Homer Cigars.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard jerk-ass Homer get thrown around a lot as a phrase. You guys are the ones that actually introduced me to the idea of jerk-ass Homer.
You're welcome.
Again, second time in this segment that I'm asking this. Is that where it came from?
Yeah, I was wondering the
Yeah,
same
Simpsons
thing.
self-referential, I'm pretty sure.
Because there was
Yeah.
like a blog that popularized that term, right?
Yeah, nohomers.net.
Right. And so this is referring to that. It's not the origin of the term.
Yeah, I think Homer says it at some point, just in passing.
Sure, okay.
Calling himself jerk-ass, but yeah, I think around this time, that blog and that sort of term of, the jerk-ass Homer problem was, popularized, and they're just like, haha, isn't he a jerk-ass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to take it back. It's like, no, that's our word for making fun of you.
Yeah, exactly. Don't reclaim it, Simpsons.
Yeah.
Which is really weird, because, just the other night I was at Sydney Comedy Festival, and, all of a sudden they almost had to evacuate the entire thing because, someone had thrown a lit cigarette into the garbage bin. And so, the guy on the PA, normally talking, if you're here to see John Cruikshank, go to line A. He's like, if you're smoking cigarettes, please use the ashtrays provided and not the bins. You almost fucked up everybody's night. You can't.
I do enjoy occasionally walking past one of those, the tall, thin stainless steel cigarette bins that are sometimes bolted to a pole.
Oh, yeah.
When there's one of those that's on fire and it's just
Just
smoke
hissing
hissing out of it, it kind of makes me laugh
Yeah.
because I'm a bit weird.
Now there used to be one outside of my old work that would catch on fire regularly. And it was system to just walk out with a bucket of water and just douse it and go back to work.
What was even weirder is the one next to it, which would catch on fire irregularly. And so there was no heat involved.
You never knew which was it.
Bang.
Yeah.
That was kind of the other funny thing. They obviously didn't have a big enough water vessel at the comedy show. So there was two bar staff. One had a plant watering can, with the really thin spout at the end that was
Beautiful.
daintily trying to put it out. And just another dude with a couple of beer cans that they'd filled with water as well.
And the other one's trying to see how far that magic tap can come away from the bar.
Yep.
Just spraying Diet Coke onto the fire.
Fire's natural enemy.
Yeah. Yeah, James, what about you? What is a moment that stands out to you from this episode?
Okay, the very first scene where Homer, Lenny, and Carl are watching Mr. Burns talking to some guy from work. I don't know why, but something about this scene charmed me. The whole,
Oh, really?
Mr. Burns calmly listening to this guy, seeming into all of his discussion about paragliding, then joining in with the dance, all of that. Maybe it was just that it was pleasantly animated, or that I just like to see an old man sort of, having a nice time. I don't know. But something about that I found charming, even with the whole joke of Homer calling the guy up and pretending to take his brother hostage that just went on too long.
It's an interesting twist for Burns that this is the one person for whom Burns has patience.
Yeah.
They have a shared love of hang gliding, apparently.
Yeah. I would have been okay with this if it wasn't for my one bit of Jordan Hill corner, where they can hear his shoes when he's dancing. And it's like, no, you are too far away and behind glass. You could not hear that.
Have you considered, BT, mildly explosive shoes?
Yeah, what if they're just real fucking loud shoes?
I considered and still not.
Still no.
There we saw no explosions.
I think this is a subsection of Jordan's Anal Corner. This is Jordan's Anal Corner, BT's Foley fuck-ups. No, Foley Follies. Foley Follies.
Oh, there we
I think
go.
it's a funnier phrase.
Well, sorry, you already said Foley fuck-up, so we have to commit to that now.
That was with a fuck-up and a folly. Right.
Folly fuck-ups, yeah.
BT's follies. Fuck.
That's the theme song.
Every time you're on, you just coin a new bit, you guys.
That's been another one of Nick's fun puns and pleasant... What word am I looking for here? I don't know.
I'd say it's another edition of Nicknames a segment.
I think you just mean nicknames.
Oh!
It's right there, guys. God.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's not have a song, guys.
Oh, yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
What stands out to me? This episode was briefly banned in Argentina.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah.
The Argentinians just don't like Ralph.
Have they got horrendous rules against showing the destruction of a fast food street? Or
Does Ralph just mean something dirty there?
Yeah, E Pluribus Wiggum. It's the worst thing you can call someone in Argentina.
Got it.
yeah.
No, Carl has a throwaway line about Juan Perot, when he makes you disappear, you
yeah.
disappear. And then Lenny's like, and his wife was Madonna. So yeah, apparently, this one was enough to have it pulled from broadcast in Argentina for a
Because
while.
they just don't like Madonna over there? Is that the...
Is that the Vita reference? Was Madonna
Yes,
in
it
a
is.
Vita?
Yeah, don't cry for
Yep.
me, Argentina.
Okay, cool.
Or my husband will make you disappear.
Apparently so.
And now this episode also has been banned in Argentina.
Yes! Awesome. Finally. I don't know why I want this.
How many listeners do you have in Argentina?
I'm going to look that up, actually.
What if you look it up as like 90% of the traffic?
The Simpsons Index,
whole-
the online spreadsheet, banned in Argentina.
Yeah. Look,
Hey, any press is good press.
if that gets us banned, I'm sorry, but you can't turn Renegade on and off. You just have to live it.
No.
Pew, pew,
Pew pew
pew.
till we die.
Here, here.
How was the wackiness in this episode? Was this a wacky episode of The Simpsons?
It would have seemed wacky before 2016.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they were genuinely talking about getting an 8-year-old to run as president of the country
Yeah.
for some reason. That feels pretty wacky.
I feel like an 8-year-old already was president of the country.
Hot takes!
I call him President Cheeto.
O'Connor commentary.
Fei.
So I can confirm in the last 24 months at least, we have had 118 downloads from Argentina.
Nice. Well, so they like us
Pretty
because
good.
we tell it like it is.
Yeah.
That number is going to drop off to 0 now.
If it hadn't already.
Nick, you're looking up our numbers in Argentina.
Oh, I can look up our numbers in Argentina.
I widened the scope from 3 to 24 because, we hadn't gotten a single download in the last 3 months.
Already cancelled.
No olvides darle me gusta y suscribirte.
Did that come through? That's
Yeah,
what
Spanish
was
for
that?
That's Spanish for don't forget to like and subscribe.
No olvides darle me gusta y suscribirte.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, like, the whole episode is a
Whack.
note of wacky.
Yeah. That said, I mean, the food montage with Homer, I liked and then didn't like when he, gets a pizza, adds fries, and then adds a lobster. That was okay. But then he folds it all up and just eats the box as well.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. And again, I started liking the quaint old couple in New Hampshire who are like, well, the way I see it, as my father always said, the way I look at it, just a bunch of folksyisms shoved together. But then it ends with them robbing the cafe and murdering the cashier.
Which
That
I,
was
of course,
weird.
liked.
Yeah, I have to say, Dykel got pretty excited by that.
I started rubbing my hands together gleefully.
Just a big Pulp Fiction fan.
I did rewatch Pulp Fiction recently, so I was kind of thinking about it.
How's it hold up? I haven't seen it in a good decade.
Holds up pretty well. I think the stuff that's dated, you can kind of identify why it is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Tarantino himself, not very good in it, but otherwise, a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
A thing I'd forgotten about Pulp Fiction that I really appreciate going back is that John Travolta looks like shit throughout that entire movie. He just looks sort of puffy and uncomfortable in a way that enhances the character, and I really like it. So that's my Pulp Fiction take. John Travolta, if you're listening, please like and subscribe to Her Bloods in the Cave Springfield as well. We'll have you on it as a guest anytime. Actually, no, we won't. You're a Scientologist. Fuck off.
It's okay, he's in Argentina. He won't hear this.
Exactly. So, I was just going to say that, being that this whole episode is a big ball of whack, let's just peel off the heart question. How was the bumps, the emotional core of this episode?
Ralph getting pressured by everyone. I felt sympathy for him then.
Good point. Good catch.
Then the episode ended.
I do like it when the show briefly acknowledges the possibility that Clancy Wiggum is like a nice dad who likes his son.
Yeah.
And the show has a little bit of that. I don't know, it's always been nice to me that they never went down Chief Wiggum is disappointed in his weird son. He's always been pretty encouraging of him. I think that's good. And it was nice to get a little moment of that in this episode as well.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, he drives out on him with Lou to go to the library or whatever, but still.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of heart with Lisa coming to support him. It doesn't go anywhere, but...
No. Yeah, the episode is over 30 seconds later, so...
And a tiny bit of heart when Ralph's like, well, let's just use our words and not fight to sort... And Lisa's like, oh, maybe this will work. But then 10 seconds later, the episode's over.
Yeah.
Unresolved.
Yeah, it's actually... I feel like the episode actually had some restraint with Ralph because a lot of the problems with the teens and Ralph is they tried to turn him into a catchphrase machine. And
That's my problem. I feel like it's not showing restraint with Ralph. It just ran out of time. Like it would have probably done that if it had not already wasted everything on, everything else that happens.
And yeah, once again, like, it's the opposite of the last episode where they did the full intro, they did a long couch gag, they had time for an ending, they just didn't write one.
Yep. Guess it's hard, Elliot. Yeah.
No, they're too busy making weird jokes about politics that are a little difficult to unpack in places, I think.
Yeah.
There was one part where they have a Democratic politician on a stage throwing out a bunch of percentages which are wildly inaccurate to the actual situation. Where he's saying like 1/5 controls like 80%. Like we all know, the 1% has become a lot more of a thing that we talk about now. But then Lisa says that the Democrats can't win with another prissy brainiac running. I'm like, who the fuck is she talking about? Which candidate, at that point, the last Democratic president had been Clinton, famously not a prissy brainiac at all. And then, obviously,
Al Gore and John Kerry, the pressiest of all the nerdwads.
But Al Gore, obviously we have sort of reclaimed Al Gore since then because, the way everyone talked about Al Gore, we've now realized was very stupid. And, John Kerry, I honestly don't remember, so I can't really say that much about. And then, running in 2008 was Obama, who, again, that was not the read on him at all.
Mm-hmm.
It is weird that they made up a bunch of politicians in this episode when they have just used real politicians in the past.
The only thing I remember about John Kerry is that Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 spoke at several rallies in support of John Kerry. Yeah. And at the time, as a big Blink-182 fan, I was like, this is a weird read. On the Democrat side, cool, but who's turning to Thomas Matthew DeLonge of Blink-182?
Being like, how should I vote?
Born December 13, 1980.
I think maybe you would be, Nick. You seem like the exact target audience.
But I'm not part of the American voting public.
Yeah.
But still, the swing voters that are also alien truthers, man, it's a more powerful position than you would estimate right now.
It's a fucking circle, that Venn diagram.
John Kerry sounds like the name of a cartoon frog. I think that would be a good name. I think John Kerry would be a good cartoon frog.
Yeah, he'd have a top hat.
Maybe I'm just thinking of Kermit. I don't know.
But ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Are the characters behaving like themselves? Is this a show we know and love?
Characters kind of show no. It is, again, it meanders and does nothing and then just stops.
Honestly, I thought basically yes, for the most part. Homer's not politically interested. Bart's not really in the episode. Lisa has her own thing going on that is relatively consistent. The one thing that did bother me is they have the thing in their front yard announcing that the house is undecided. They don't know who they're voting for. But Marge has always been a pretty staunch Democratic voter in the show, I feel like. She was a Bailey booster back in season 2. Mm-hmm. In future seasons, they make it pretty clear that she's voting for the Democratic candidates. Marge is not on the fence about this. She is a decided voter. And they just sort of, once again, do her dirty in this episode. And just sort of push her aside because it is not convenient for the plot to have her represented properly.
I almost feel like every main Simpsons character gets pushed aside in this one. Who even really has the limelight here?
They should have made this very butt heavy.
Man, this has been
the
something.
Democratic Convention. Ay caramba.
But, I mean, that's it, because then, they're trying to make a point of, the two major parties courting undecided swing voters by excessive pandering, and then, that's just Homer kicks them out of the house, and that plot point's pushed aside.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that even I don't know.
Probably, I guess. Right in America, all of you.
It's almost like, I've been trying to figure it out. It's almost like, there's earlier on there was the Super Bowl and they re-recorded to do the name of the winning team the next year.
Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. It's almost like if this was done in 2008 and there was an election in 2008, it's almost like they went, well, if we just don't take a position and don't put forward a story, we can't be wrong. But the idea of sitting down to write a story where your main fulcrum point is not having a story feels, to me, a little bit weird.
It's the story equivalent of throwing away your vote and not voting.
Imagine
Yeah.
if the whole episode had been about like John McCain and they just went hard on loving John McCain for some reason.
Did he play for the Atlanta Falcons?
I believe he did, yes.
Yeah, he came out of that cage and he was doing just fine.
Oh boy.
Yes or no, would you watch this one again?
I'm still thinking about that bit.
I kind of want to watch it again just to know if I missed something.
Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like I must have fallen asleep or paid too much attention to my Uber order to really
it's like when you wake up and you've had a podcast playing and you've snoozed on the couch. I snoozed on the couch earlier today. And you wake up and you go, hang on a minute, how did we get here? And you don't know if you've been asleep for like 30 seconds or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you back 10, back 10, back 10, back 10. Cool, I'm catching up on the podcast. I'm going to do that with this episode of The Simpsons. Not tonight and perhaps not ever, but in theory.
The idea.
I had seen this one before a long time ago, like basically when it came out. I am starting to think, based on the discussion we're having here, that I disliked this episode less than the rest of you, maybe. Which isn't to say that I loved it and would rewatch it in a hurry, but it did feel like it was on the brink of being a good episode. Like, there are tweaks that could have been made that I maybe haven't fully identified, but definitely it felt like somebody had a good idea for what this episode could be, and they didn't quite get there.
I can
Brink?
understand the
He made
vibe
me
of
laugh,
that.
he made me think.
Yeah, it's like looking at the menu of possibilities this episode and never actually ordering, because it's all there, all the pieces and all the stuff, all the mechanics. It's just no one did anything.
Yeah.
I love the idea of BT sitting at a restaurant surrounded by mechanics and no one's ordering anything. He's like, come on, you hungry bunch of car fixers, order something.
Yeah, where's my car already?
We got to get back to the lot. Come on, order something.
It does feel like it's identifying like a lot of potential topics to make jokes about. And
But then it just doesn't.
it kind of like gets stuck just like talking to Jon Stewart for 20 minutes.
Oh,
my
man, that
God.
went on.
One of the guest stars of this episode.
And Jon Stewart with blue eyebrows, which was interesting.
Is Jon Stewart still a thing?
I think he's like got one of those like subscription services that no one ever signs up to, like a show on Apple TV plus Paramount Plus or something like that.
Yeah.
What would you like to change, BT?
Just have a point is going to be my main thing. Just like if you want to run with the Ralph Wiggum thing, it's kind of funny that, yeah, they have this joke of we're so tired of all these political pundits around. Let's just pick someone that no one is going to like for a joke and give him all the majority. And then it actually starts taking off. There's something to that. So make that happen 10 minutes earlier. And that's the, focus of the episode. Or do something else or do anything. Pick something on the menu. God damn it.
Nick, what do you reckon?
What would I change? Yeah, I think it needs an ending. Even if that ending is Ralph becomes president and they fast forward by a week and go, geez, that was a bad idea. We shouldn't have let an 8-year-old become president. Something.
I would have called him President Cheeto.
You would have called Ralph President Cheeto.
Cheeto.
Cheeto in charge.
Cheeto in charge. Nick, that's really good. That's
Thank
a
you.
really good joke.
So the change that we would have made is we would have made we would have not made The Simpsons. We would have made a show called Cheeto in Charge.
Cheeto in charge of our days.
About a puffy little cheese-flavoured, corn-based starch snack that kills its way to power.
A scene that I think about from The Simpsons all the time that I feel like is not important to other people in the same way is that one from Who Shot Mr. Burns, when Bart says, look what they did to my best friend. It cost a Millhouse eating those Cheetos. And he just has all the shit on his face.
Yep.
A great moment. And a good show that I like.
The Simpsons.
Yes.
What would you change, James, about this one, this episode that you clearly like?
I feel like the two big changes you could make to make this a much better episode is, one, obviously, like, move the whole, like, we're voting for someone else thing to, like, the middle of the episode instead of the end. Two, make it someone other than Ralph. Make it, like, Mo. I don't know, like, somebody who can actually carry, like, a bit of pathos for the rest of the episode and, like, maybe, sell the idea that they realize the actual import of politicians who are committed to real change. Better than Ralph just sort of like saying something very out of character at the end.
Yep.
And just, sell the journey that this person goes on, whoever they chose. Maybe not Mo, because Mo's a real piece of shit in this episode, but someone.
Yeah, they heavily imply he's a registered sex offender.
Yeah, and he's, homophobic. It's awful. This is like that period of The Simpsons where, homophobia and transphobia just, creeps its way into every episode, and I have no time for it.
Yeah,
Yep.
fucking never realized until rewatching season 10 for this thing. It's like, oh, fuck. Glad we didn't include that in the classic era. Oh, it's up to me. Fuck. God, I don't know.
Elliot, what would you like to change about this episode?
Go on, Elliot, make it better. Go on. Go on, nerd.
Yeah, sitting there with your beard.
And your ivory tower.
Yeah, and your standing desk full of amiibos.
Yeah, all the amiibos. You got a plan to change this, do you?
Yeah, there should be a more amiibo talk in this. Fuck, I don't know. I was, kind of invested in the Homer diet fast food one last binge thing more than I was invested in the rest of it. But then even then, that was just a montage of nonsense.
I want to learn more about Captain Corndog's Schnitzel Palace. I mean, that sounds good to me. I would go there.
Yeah.
I do want to dine at General Chang's Italiano Restaurano Taco place. Yeah, that sounded good. Oh, yeah, and it was set to Duran Duran's Hungry Like the Wolf, because hungry, he's eating. Sure.
Yeah, like the wolf.
Yeah. Do.
I'm laughing because of a private joke between me and Nick that will not translate well to a podcast.
We have a history with Hungry Like the Wolf that is simply not worth going into.
I don't know. I don't have many more notes about this thing.
Look, maybe we'll bring it up on an episode of Pods in the Key of Springfield. So if people want to find out, maybe it'll happen at some point on that show.
There we go.
Yes,
Sizzle
if they want to find out, they'll have to like and subscribe.
Absolutely.
Talking to you, Argentina.
All right, we are here. James, do you have any other notes?
Was it intentional to give us 2 episodes in a row with a theme of Homer hating restaurants and only liking fast food?
He's furrowed again.
I did not remember the first part of this episode being part of it. It was just... it was one that I felt comfortable doing when Trump wasn't president anymore.
Brilliant.
There's a joke in this episode about how print media is dying that I feel like became... it got passed around a little bit as one of those Simpson breakout jokes that becomes a bit more of a thing. When Nelson laughs at that newspaper guy and says, your medium is dying, and Skinner says there's being right and then there's being nice, and it's... I feel like that became a bit of a thing back in 2008. And at the time, I was just sort of working my way into working in print media, so it really hit hard. But yeah, that was...
Especially when they turned to the camera and said, right, James?
And somehow I kept doing it for years and years, even though there was no money left. There's some joke about, a politician... What was it, Dennis Kucinich? I'm not familiar with them, but I guess the joke is that they're very short.
Oh, yeah, I wrote that name down, but I didn't remember to look it up.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
I just always enjoy the ongoing joke in this period of The Simpsons that one of the Republican figureheads in Springfield is literally Dracula. I know it's a little silly, but every time they do, I'm like, if you're going to make an easy joke about this, I think making it Dracula is silly and fun. And I
always enjoy a throw to the Republican headquarters. That's usually pretty funny.
Yeah, again, it wasn't the strongest one in this. There was George Bush hidden votes fucking joke in there, but that's about it.
Sorry, I also liked, and this is, I don't know, maybe this is me being generous, but I did like that one joke about Marge being concerned about this car dealership that had overordered and had to have a big sale on this weekend to get rid of excess stock.
Very sweet.
That was just a nice little moment of Marge being Marge, and I like Marge,
I like that
and I
well.
feel like an ongoing thing in my Simpsons podcasting career is complaining that there's not enough Marge stuff. So I liked that joke.
And I enjoyed that it's almost like Marge has been trained that, if there's something in the newspaper that is described as a disaster, then I should be sympathetic towards it. So the ad in the newspaper of, we've ordered too much stock, and go, oh no, I've ordered too much stock. It was very sweet. Very sweet.
I hope they'll be okay. Yeah.
Dennis Kucinich was the former mayor of Cleveland and a Democratic nomination for president in both 04 and 08, and he stands at a height of 1.7 meters.
Yeah, short. Real short.
Did he just did he piss on Matt Groening's lawn or something? What's going on?
In the episode, he was like shin height on Carl.
That's taller than me. What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 186. Like, it's
Humble
not
brag.
that much shorter than me. Hold on, just for our American listeners.
Check out old Heightsy over here.
Yep.
It's 5.5 feet. That's not short.
Wait, 5'5" or 5.
Oh, okay, I'm taller than that.
Yeah.
I guess he is short and pathetic.
And just for all our Argentinian listeners,
5 pulgadas de alto.
there we go.
Like and
That was-
subscribe.
No, that was 5.5 feet tall.
Oh,
Wouldn't it be
Jesus.
great if you had an Argentinian listener who doesn't speak English but has been listening this whole time?
They've
I'm
just
just
got
really
it
excited
on.
by this one episode.
They've
And they're just
got it-
losing
they've-
their
they've
shit
got it
all
on
of
in
a
the background for some noise, and then their ears picked up at that one sentence. 5.5 feet tall.
And like and subscribe. That's all they know.
Finally, I've been listening to all these hours for something for me. Nick, do you have any more notes?
Yeah. There's a joke I really enjoy when the Vesuvius pizza place erupts.
Yeah.
When Homer smokes the jerk-ass cigars. And pizza bases, like uncooked pizza bases, come flying out the top of the restaurant, and they land on people's faces, covering them. But the way they're standing, it's almost like they're receiving religious salvation in some kind of weird iconography kind of way. They stand there looking up towards the sky, a pizza base drapes across their face, and then Mole Man comes up and he's like, yes, because he wants to receive this doughy salvation too.
Blessing of pizza, yeah.
Yeah, the blessing of the pizza. I believe it's in it's one of the parables, but
Somewhere in the back.
Yes, they hid that one away.
Blessed be the marinara.
But sorry, I enjoyed "Blessed Be the Marinara." Now I can't remember what I was saying. But then instead of Mole Man getting a pizza dough on his face, he just gets crushed to shit by a huge piece of wall, and I really laughed at that.
It got me too, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Elliot Jay O'Neill?
Oh, with my
Final notes?
big book of notes ready to go. Yeah.
Big book of British smiles.
The big book of notes.
Why do you say that?
British notes.
So, when the old couple are robbing the place, the guy goes, something Martha, and I was like, why did he say that name?
How does he know Martha?
So it's always weird when The Simpsons break into CGI for non-story reasons.
Yeah.
This Eagle voting thing did nothing for me. Like, for all I know, it could have been an actual voting campaign ad.
No, I get it. It's meant to be, yeah.
Vote.
Those kind of moments where the graphics they use for these things look like, something you'd see in a bowling alley.
Yeah.
But it was weird.
Very bowling alley.
Yeah.
That would have been great if the Eagle had just bowled a strike afterwards.
The Eagle
like-
strike.
And like the eagle is fair enough, but then it goes to like a Simpsons character, which is also rendered in 3D, and it's like that doesn't make sense. What is this to them then? Is that are they in 2D and this is the only 3D person they've ever seen? No, I didn't like
Man,
it.
I'm really pleased that you've described that as bowling alley animation because that is legitimately hitting the nail right on the head of what that animation is. That's very astute of you, BT.
Strike, yeah.
Here's a general question, just to gauge our senses of humor.
Yeah.
If they had a character watch this and then draw attention to the fact that this visual style doesn't make sense within the context of the world of The Simpsons, how would we feel about that as a joke?
Just if Homer went, ooh, depth.
Yeah, it depends how. Like a simple ooh depth, that would be interesting. If they were like, that doesn't look like I look like, I don't have a bat. We're like, no.
There's
stop.
there's a joke in a much later season of The Simpsons that I think about sometimes because I feel like I like this joke, but I would have a hard time justifying why against a lot of the jokes I don't like. Where Bart, you've probably covered this episode at some point, but where Bart and Lisa
Try
are
to find
talking
their
about the
hairline?
concept of hair, yes.
Yeah.
And I remember Bart just frantically pouring his skull and saying, "What are we?" And I always enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Mixed feels,
I
is
remember
the
thinking
shot.
it went on too long, but the general concept of them going, hey, hang on.
I think an existential crisis is usually funny to me.
And relatable.
As long as children are being hurt or tortured.
I don't know why this has become a runner, but sure.
Well, quote from Elliot Jay O'Neill there. As long as children are being hurt or tortured.
Yeah. We get a pretty lazy Bill Clinton joke in this episode with apparently Hillary on the other end being that old cartoon.
Rhubarb. Yeah.
And this is a really lazy setup as well. He puts one sign in. Oh, how many of these signs do I need to put in? Heaps, you goose.
Your impression of Bill Clinton sounds like he's trying to warn you about the Odd Pet Cemetery. Now, see here, Hillary.
Now stay clear of the old pet cemetery. Why, there ain't been a dog here in years.
You want to hear this saxophone solo?
Sometimes being politically dead is better.
Score.
Let's rank this thing.
Rank this thing.
Jackal, you can go first.
All right, I've thought about this, and ultimately, I feel like maybe everyone else is going to go a little lower than me, but I'm giving it...
Cubic zircon. No.
I'm giving it a bronze. Shameful bronze.
Wow, shameful bronze.
I think there's a lot about this episode that is close to working, and there were a few jokes in there that did genuinely work for me. I feel like I didn't get bored with it the same way I get with a lot of this period of The Simpsons. I had a few chuckles. I enjoyed a lot of the ideas it seemed to be working towards. There were some nice character moments. It wasn't a great episode of television, but as far as this middle period of The Simpsons goes, it was a little more coherent in its attempts at humor, I think. Like, I at least knew what the jokes were most of the time.
Yeah.
So, I'm giving it a bronze. I don't think it was amazing, but I didn't hate it.
BT.
Yeah, I'm largely mixed on this one because it does have a few jokes I quite liked. One of which being, because you skipped my notes, you bastard.
Did I?
When they bring up the battering ram and it just makes a gentle knock, knock, knock. I kind of like that. That got me.
Did you have any other final notes? I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
No, that's cool. I just flipped through them all really quickly, and that's pretty much the most noteworthy one. At that, and we finally, after
Always
seeing...
here except when he's note.
Ooh. In addition to seeing the Republican HQ, we see the Democratic Party HQ, and I do like it's in like a rundown restaurant salad bar. There is something funny about that. I didn't then like the joke of, I'm going to get my arseless tux together. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, because, one of the other people in this meeting was apparently a parody of a pundit that's husband got caught cheating with another man, and that was like a reference to that as well.
Right.
So, yeah,
Whatever.
that stinks.
But for the most part, I was just very... even the jokes I like, I didn't get a proper good laugh out of. And what really just bugs me on this one is just structurally, it is just non-existent. There's no through line. I'm going to struggle incredibly hard to remember this one soon. I mean, I almost want to give it participant because in the sense that a participant would be worse. There's so little to dislike here that failure would at least give it merit because there's something tangible there to dislike. Whereas this is, I think the rare example of a participant being worse. That said, if you can't get structure right after 30 years, stop making shows. So I will fail.
Well, Nick.
I'm going to go participant. Broadly similar to what BT was saying, actually, but I'm probably a little bit less harsh on the storyline stuff. But I was actually having a really good time for the first 5 or 6 minutes of the episode. I enjoyed a lot of the jokes, but then it completely fell off the rails. And, we got to the end of the episode and I was very confused. And I don't think it's strictly speaking because I was focused heavily on eating pizza. I think that I've gleaned enough information from the chat that we've just had to know that it did kind of just fall apart and cease to exist. And that strikes me as odd. So I'm going to participant it.
I'm going failure as well, and this is I could have easily gone a participant, but I found this mostly a baffling watch. It's there were parts I enjoyed, but mostly I don't know why the whole thing exists, so fail here for me, and this is fucking odd, because I had a feeling, so I looked it up to confirm. The other season 19 episode that this little Quattro has reviewed before, which was Mona Lisa, got the exact same rank with the exact same people doing the exact same ranks.
Wow. Wow.
And so, that finishes off season 19, a season which got an overall ranking of a shiny participant. It is our 20th best season.
A shiny participant gets you in 20th. That's
You know what? It's the third worst teens era season, so that's something. But it actually has some good episodes in it. Like the top one, The Departed. Their Departed parody is pretty good.
Do you think they'll do an Infernal Affairs parody at some point as well in the future?
Only in Korean.
Actually, the other top ranking episode, I Don't Want to Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, is kind of a Dog Day Afternoon parody as well, which is, surprisingly good. But yeah, season lows of Funeral for a Fiend. That's where they bring back Cecil Twilliger. That 90s show, of course, very infamous. Papa Don't Leech, which Lurleen Lumpkin comes back.
A lot of... What's that stupid practice of slapping yourself to make drum sounds called again? Ham boning? Lots of ham boning.
Ham bone. Yeah.
Goddamn.
And All About Lisa, where Lisa usurps Krusty the Clown's show, much like Bart did that one time. Yeah. So, yeah, season 19. Good for you.
Stone Cold classic, wall to wall.
Every
Episodes that everyone remembers.
Stone Cold Steve Plastic.
Why did Austin become plastic?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, I really enjoyed, and I think BT enjoyed this too, that in the middle of me saying Austin and getting plastic wrong, and I just like slowly looked off to the side of the screen and wondered what happened there.
Words are hard.
Indeed.
They are.
Resin time. Do resin time. Anyway, let's move on to the classic era episode. Now, there's an episode that you guys have done before, but it is considered one of the best in the show.
Yeah, you haven't told us what episode we're doing before this, by the way, for the listener. So this is a surprise to everyone.
Genuine response when we hear this.
Yep, we're watching the Michael Jackson episode. Yep, we reviewed it 2 podcasts ago, but I thought the episode's so nice we'd review it twice.
Yeah.
No, you mentioned the Big Book of British Smiles before. It was
Lisa gets braces.
Dental Plan.
Are you giving us Last Exit to Springfield?
Hell yeah.
You're giving us the, Entertainment Weekly best episode of all time?
That's a
Is that
very
what you're doing,
specific reference to print media, James.
Yeah.
It's all he knows.
Exit.
Last Exit to Springfield. We'll be back.
Yowza.
Cubic.
And we are back, and we just watched our classic era episode for the evening, and the final episode of season 4 for us, and what a classic to leave it out on. This was season 4, episode 17, Last Exit to Springfield. First released in March of 1993, it was directed by Mark Kirkland, written by Jay Kogan and Wallace Wolodarski. In this episode, you know this one, Homer becomes the union president, dental plan, Lisa needs braces, strange bedfellows, and all that good stuff. Hey, y'all, what did you think?
Hooray.
Oh, yeah, good app.
Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, this was, I don't know, hard to review critically because this is just throwing memorable lines and memes at me fucking non-stop.
Definitely one of those episodes for me where I was laughing in the lead up to the joke, not necessarily at the joke itself, but I was like, oh, no, wait. It's a nicer donut is coming. Yeah. You know?
Oh, it is molto bene. Yes.
Yeah, that was fun because I watched The Godfather last night for the first time in years and years. And I think that's more of a Godfather 2 thing. I think in the sequel it's Michael walking down the street that scene is parodying, but I haven't seen Godfather 2 in such a long time that I don't know for sure.
Fairly certain it's Vito Corleone in the flashback. With,
is it Robert De Niro?
Pretty sure, but you know.
Okay.
I don't want to cage match you over that.
And he's being handed donuts as he walks past.
The donuts were still right, yeah. No, that's the other thing with this episode. I think it does a lot of the things that later Simpsons does wrong right. And especially in that, and a lot of things in this is just direct reference humor to things, but it all fucking works. Like, we get the whole Simpsons pantheon of references. Godfather, Citizen Kane, The Grinch, Get
Batman.
Smart, Batman.
Yeah, I think it just it commits to the bit better. Like, there is actually a joke. Like, when you're doing The Godfather, the joke is that, they're playing it very sincere, but everything is replaced with donuts.
Yeah.
But it's still, a very sincere version of The Godfather, other than that.
Mm-hmm. And, urban myth of Jimmy Hoffa gets thrown in there as well.
Just hitting all the Al Pacino classics.
Yeah. So when the old union rep goes missing and the guy trips over a body in the football field, that is a reference to missing union rep Jimmy Hoffa, who is rumored to be underneath Giant Stadium.
Just like the Irishman.
Wow. And just like all those ET cartridges.
Yeah.
Let's hit up IGN and make them dig them up.
Maybe Microsoft will do a documentary about it. Digging up Jimmy Hoffa.
A mediocre documentary.
Yeah, let's kick it off. Nick, what stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
Atoms. 6 of them. The enunciation on atoms really gets me.
Oh, yeah, that's in my brain as well.
All the time. And the very first thing I noticed, which I've never noticed before, so this episode starts with a McBain cold open, and you've got the ice
real cold open.
The ice sculpture that McBain burst out of.
Yeah.
But the very first thing is someone like chiseling ice off the ice sculpture. Now, in the world of the trope of the ice sculpture, is the point of it to chisel off the ice that you're going to put in your drink? Because I didn't have that understanding of ice sculptures.
Not that I think of. I thought he was just, putting the finishing touches on it.
Chiseling it off to use the ice in his drink?
I didn't see the drink.
Is that the...
Well, I thought he was chipping it off to use in his drink, but that seems like an insane thing to do with such a perfectly carved sculpture.
Could have given the whole game away too early, yeah.
My favourite fun thing about this is the ice to meet you line often gets misattributed to Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin, and he never says it in that. That's a fun fact.
Like the one ice pun he doesn't use.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Oh, there's no shortage of them, though. Batman and Robin, fantastic flick. Fucking comedy of 99.
Yeah, this McBain movie that you see pieced out through multiple episodes of The Simpsons, the more I think about it, seems like a pretty good movie. Seems like a really fun 90s action movie.
It is surprising how coherent that they made it.
Yeah, apparently accidentally as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I thought...
when the whole thing came out that, you could stitch all the pieces together and it kind of made a movie, and I'm pretty sure the response to that was just, we just threw some cliches in, we weren't really thinking about it.
Well, they keep parodying, the same basic kind of movie, so it would make sense that what they would have would be pretty coherent together.
Yeah. And the line swank 10 times more addictive than marijuana. Yeah. Fucking great
Marijuana.
Shit. Marijuana. Wish I could, back of the throat like that.
Marijuana.
And the bit where, McBain just have a salmon puff. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they should have brought in Gordon Ramsay again. He would have sorted out the salmon puff. It wouldn't have turned out, fucking hell, the salmon puff poisoned him. You could have killed him. You know that. Anyway.
Putting 2 bits of bread aside Mendoza's face,
I'm an idiot sandwich.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just really digging the depths of my Gordon Ramsay fucking knowledge. BT, what stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
On this one, I thought, I had the thing of writing all the pre-notes and writing the bits down before they even happened, and trying to be objective is incredibly hard. So I was like, okay, at what point am I just sold on this episode as being an absolute classic? And for me, it was 1,000 monkeys at 1,000 typewriters, because it just works. Because if you're just a kid, you just think it's a funny bit. He's got a room full of 1,000 monkeys, until you get older and you hear about that whole, 1,000 monkeys working for 1,000 years, yada, yada, write the works of Shakespeare. And then it gets funnier. So it's a great example of, that depth Simpsons jokes used to have. And just the image is really funny. And the best of times, the blurst of times is funny. And Burns's whole, tour of his house is funny, especially the basement. No, we really should stop ending it here. And that rapid back and forth of, let's take the pressure off. I know you're a whiz, and I can see you're shooting for number 1. You're going to make a big splash with just the spilling coffee and the dripping pipe. It's just, it's so rapidly funny.
And saying that we should stop ending the tour in the basement, but then still sitting down at the table tennis table to hold the negotiations. Just delightful.
Yeah, surely he's got several dining rooms that are much nicer than that to, have this in this chat. Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so that was the moment I was like, no, just give it the award. I'm done.
Well, with Homer as well, I feel like he has a certain Mr. Bean quality going through this episode. Or even just a Homer Simpson, just, despite his ineptitude and just bumbling his way through success in this episode. And especially with Mr. Burns just, again, forgetting their past and just considering him quite a formidable opponent.
Yeah. But even then, I like the iconic moment of Dental plan, Lisa needs braces, is a great example of the pieces are literally the only thing in his head, and he's still standing staring blankly until it's like, oh.
Yeah, I counted it out this time. They repeat that 8 times.
Including after the pencil drop?
6 before, 2 after.
Okay.
There we go. Because, yeah, this and the rate gags, I'm still trying to figure out what is the Simpsons formula for doing an extended joke that works.
Yeah.
Because we get one in the grandpa rant as well, which also fantastic.
Oh, man.
The mathematics of these long-form jokes is really hard to pin down.
Yeah.
I think I've talked about this on pods at some point. I remember this old Warner Brothers cartoon about, they had this like little fake documentary after the episode of one of the Looney Tunes things, and it was this fake documentary on the funniest weight for an anvil to be when it drops on a character's head. And it was sort of like this fake thing about these people like all figuring out that 16 tons was the funniest weight for an anvil. And I feel like The Simpsons is doing that maths constantly in the early seasons.
Yeah, how many times can we get hit Sideshow Bob with a rake? How many times can we say dental plan?
The perfect encapsulation of that is the Itchy and Scratchy.
Ouch!
Yeah, when they go to Itchy and Scratchy Land and Homer buys $1,100 worth of the Itchy and Scratchy money. To me, that is
Yeah, just into the 4 figures enough to be an irresponsible amount of money.
And just
but
$1,100 is a very specific number. Without being like so specific to be unrealistic, it's sort of if he said like $1,142, the joke is ruined. If he says like $940, the joke is ruined. $1,100, perfect. And so it is with this one. Saying dental plan, Lisa needs braces 8 times is the magic number.
It was actually reminding me, I don't know if anyone's caught up on the new King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard record.
Only you, buddy.
They've got this song, the Dripping Tap, where they've got this chorus hook, drip, drip from the tap, don't slip, drip, drip from the tap, don't slip on the drip. And that repeats, I think, fucking 30 times.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
King Gizzard,
sure.
Of course it does.
It's a 20-minute song, and they dedicate about 5 minutes to it for this chorus.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, obviously not a relatable bit, so I will then turn it to James and ask what stands out to you from this episode, for better or worse.
An interesting thing, the timing on this, I literally joined a union this week. Between that and just watching The Godfather, this feels preordained on some level.
Especially when they turned to camera and said, James.
Yeah. Yep. That was terrifying. I feel like that scene wasn't in the episode beforehand, but now it is. So, so that is, that's a whole interesting thing. And I'm hoping that nobody gets killed. But I really enjoy all the dental stuff in here. And I feel like I have always had like a weird relationship with going to the dentist, as many people do. And I wonder how responsible this episode is. And just thinking about it a lot this episode, I really love the scene where the dentist is trying to calm Lisa down by showing her the tools he's using, but the tools are universally terrifying. Like the gouger.
Yeah, I have a friend whose favourite line is, and this happy little fellow is the gouger.
The delivery is perfect. Yeah, I love the dentist character, and the delivery is so awesome. And this actually went through a few guest stars that fell through.
Oh, really?
The role was originally offered to both Anthony Hopkins and Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood would have been so funny. All right, now then, Lisa.
He's just talking to the dentist chair. There's no one in it.
Zing.
You know, Clint Eastwood, when he directs films, he never calls action because he's used to doing westerns, and if you yell action, it speaks to horses. So whenever he's directing, he just says, all right. And then when it's finished, he says, that's enough. And that's his directing style, apparently. I stole that from the Blank Check podcast.
So he just goes, go ahead, make my movie.
Yeah, basically.
So, like, who was it? Hilary Swank on $1 Million Baby? Clint, there's no horses in this movie. It's a boxing movie. I think we're okay.
Yep, that's basically what happened. I also love that the Big Book of British Smiles is like one of those oversized coffee table books. Like, you just imagine it has, like, really glossy pages and it's, like, taking this all seriously.
That was expensive.
Possibly even those pages that have like the gold lining on the edge, like on
sure.
A bit of a filigree, yeah.
Yeah, to give you a real bastard of a paper cut, you know.
Well, there's books you pick up in Dimmicks and flick through. It's like, this is an interesting book. I don't know who's paying $85 for it.
Yeah, someone.
So you just take it into the bathroom and then put it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
Monster.
So yeah, Anthony Hopkins and Sir Anthony Hopkins and Clint Eastwood turned this down. And there was another actor, Anthony Perkins, probably not a common name. He's like a horror movie guy.
He's in Psycho. He's the killer in Psycho.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I don't have a good knowledge of Hitchcock.
Tony
So.
Perko.
But yeah, he died before the recording session.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they just
Bad dental work.
Yeah. It had complications due to rotting teeth. Actually, there is a correlation between gum disease and heart failure. So was it a heart problem?
I don't know. I'll do a little quick check. He
Did
was
get
stabbed in the
to death
shower.
Ooh. We did it.
Yeah.
How unexpected.
Or was it perhaps a result of an unfortunate incident with my little friend, the Gouger?
But what stands out to me, for better or worse?
Now play classical gas.
Man, Lisa's a fucking virtuoso. Like,
yeah.
that is a tricky ass song.
And she's not even putting her fingers on any of the right frets.
That's just how good she is.
That's how good she is. She can play the right notes in the wrong spot.
This is what Nick
Yeah.
is fretting about.
No. Well,
Another one of Nick's fretting follies.
More of a fully fret than a fretting folly.
Oh, dear.
So, in the Smartline section as well, speaking of guest stars that were meant to be in the episode, we got a little bit of Dr. Joyce Brothers in this, who brought her own mic. That was her bit. That's fine. But apparently, on the lineup was also meant to be O.J. Simpson. But he had a scheduling conflict and cancelled.
Was the schedule that he had to go and kill his wife? Jesus.
Goofty.
Yeah, just the Simpsons going, glad we avoided that one.
I like the idea that would be like a critical piece of evidence. But you told the Simpsons you were unavailable, and yet...
He would have been there, and Bart would have been like, hey man, cowabunga, my name's Simpson too. Eat my shorts.
Now, your diary says here that you were at The Simpsons. Was this some kind of family event?
If the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit, man.
Ay, caramba.
Jesus. All right. Wackiness. Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
Has a two-headed dog in it.
Yeah.
That's unusual.
Burns' whole bit landing in the helicopter to drop Homer off, and Marge getting the top of her hair cut off, and then him falling out and just being like, Homer, be a dear, rub my legs until the feeling comes back. And then just again when he gets picked up by the medical chopper. It's brilliant.
It is funny when an old guy gets hurt.
Oh my, yes.
The whole Grinch bit, I really like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is technically wacky or if it's more whimsical, but I don't think we have a question that deals with whimsy. So I thought I'd raise it in the wacky to try and, backdoor it in. I like that bit.
And speaking of backdoor, there was a great wacky moment with the Get Smart reference, the overly elaborate way that they get into the control room, only to be undercut by the screen door that's got a broken fly screen, rusty hinges that are also falling off, and a single-headed dog that had managed
Just
to
a
get its way
mangy
out.
old mutt.
A single-headed dog. One of those single-headed dogs.
Yes. Oh, yeah, and another reference from Hell's Heart, I stab at these from Moby Dick.
I looked that up too.
None of us actually read books.
God, no, what are we, nerds?
Call me Ishmael. Please, call me Papa. Little ketchup for your buns, Papa. All of my references are just from The Simpsons. This is a snake eating its own tail.
And a Ouroboros.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I thought you didn't speak Latin.
Fuck.
Score.
Fuckus Damius.
Yeah, any other wacky moments that stood out to y'all?
Mr. Burns has a vulture that looks just like him. That's fun.
Is this an
Yeah, how did
island
that
of Dr.
happen?
Is this an Island of Dr. Moreau thing?
Yet another Marlon Brando movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Island of Marlon Brando?
Landed nicely. I don't know how wacky it is. Maybe they had these back in the days, but Mr. Burns like, oh, if only we'd listened to that young fellow instead of sealing him in the abandoned coke oven.
Oh, man. Top tier Mr. Burns episode, this one. Making him a great foil for Homer. But speaking of which, how was the heart in this one? You know, Homer standing up against the man and all that.
Lisa needed braces.
Dental plan.
She got some braces. Feel good story of the
Come
year.
on. The heartbreak of Lisa when she comes home and the pets run away from her. And then she's getting the photo taken at school and there is no God.
And the story of little Quigley and whatever he's got going on.
And Lisa's song, that they have the plant but we have the power, is a really, really nice little line.
Yeah, absolutely. As is fight to the death or else fold like umbrellas.
Yeah.
Just good.
And also, where's my burrito? That's good too.
Yeah, I felt that in the hearts. So, actually, there was another surprising connection and totally unintended that for Argentina, actually, that
We've already lost them, Elliot. We're just stop. It's already
hopefully I can bring them back because, yeah, the folk song that Lisa sings in this that was used in protest in Argentina in 2017 in relationship for the employees of the Clarin Group and their CEO, Hector Magneto. Wait, what?
Wow.
What?
Nice. Hector Magneto.
I'm sure it's pronounced Magneto.
There's a lot going on in this factoid. You're telling me that they have the plant but we have the power in an actual protest in 2017 against one of the X-Men. Is Magneto an X-Men?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
I've done that well.
You have.
Grupo Clarin is a media conglomerate. Oh man, if they were a Steelworks or Metalworks, that would have been perfect. But
Was it a protest about mutant rights?
Or dental plans.
yeah, they're mutants. They're not,
Yeah.
they're not all good at growing teeth,
Yeah, they still need dentists.
except Teeth Grower.
Yeah, he's great at it.
Yeah. So that's the heart. Any of you grow up with braces, actually?
No.
No, I was told that I would only need them for cosmetic reasons, so it wasn't going to be kind of medically required. It was only cosmetic, and I said to the dentist when I was 14, well, if I can't get a girlfriend, I'll come back and see you again. I've been single for over a decade, so maybe I need to go back to the dentist.
Now, if you'll
Yes,
excuse
they
me, I'm going to see the human centipede.
When your dentist said for cosmetic reasons, do you think he just meant like he thought braces would suit you?
It'll really set your face off like a nice pair of glasses.
Look, right now you just fade into the background, but with braces, you'll be that guy who has braces.
Okay, so what I'm thinking for you is braces and one of those jaunty little newsy hats.
Or maybe the colourful ones with the propeller on top.
You know what you would really liven up his face? An interesting scar.
Here, go to that taco
and then I
stand.
just get a tattoo of the black-maned lion from the Lion King.
Yeah, so that's the heart. Did it feel like an episode of The
Oh,
Simpsons?
yes, it did.
Yeah.
This is quintessential. Come on.
Yeah, there was like this opening sequence where it shows the name The Simpsons coming through the clouds, and from that point onwards, it really felt like The Simpsons to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that television show The Simpsons about the Simpson family.
About OJ and the trial. And...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yes or no, would you watch it again?
Yes, I would, Kent.
I would watch it again, yes.
Probably go and watch it again right after recording this episode.
Hey. Actually, curious, have you watched this episode since you watched it for your podcast?
I think I have. I feel like since they added everything to Disney Plus, I will sometimes jump between episodes of The Simpsons on a rainy day, and I'm pretty sure this one has popped up in the rotation.
I reckon I've seen it as well since we covered it on our pod.
In the
Sure.
key
Of
Springfield.
So, what would you like to change, BT?
Ooh. I would change little to nothing about this episode. I would have more Meryl Streep. No, nothing jumps out at me right now. I will blurt something out later if I think of it.
Sure thing. Nick, what do you reckon?
You know what? Actually, sorry, I found one. McBain kills the cellist when he's gunning down that room. The cellist didn't do it. That's not an evil cellist.
Yes, it was.
Leave, are you sure?
It was a non-union cellist. It's fine.
Yeah. He was selling
Right.
poisoned milk to school children.
Okay, then this episode is flawless.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Nick?
Yeah. I would actually shorten Grandpa Simpson's rant a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't play for me as well today as it has previously. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood for Grandpa Simpson today, but yeah, that's the only criticism I would have is tighten that up just a tiny bit. Which is weird because it has to be a rambling rant, but it could have just been a little bit quicker, I think.
I forgot to mention before when we mentioned it, actually, there was an Instagram reel or something of a dude who got the entire rant tattooed on themselves
That's right.
in ribbon,
Oh, wow.
and there's a misprint in it.
Fuck.
I don't know if this was it, but it was like they wrote wide onions instead of white onions or something to that effect. It's the tiniest misprint, and like, yeah,
Oh,
like
no.
1 million likes, and then one person comments, hey, that's not the exact line, and then just him commenting, well, fuck.
He just had to have his entire back removed.
And it's a shame you can't comment on Instagram with photos because I really wanted to send him a photo of my tattoo. You're making a mistakes.
But yours is accurate to the episode, damn it.
Yeah. James, what would you like to change?
During the smart line section, when Ken Brockman says that thing about the lumbering dinosaur and then it cuts to Homer doing the scream, it's very clear that the scream does not match the animation of Homer.
Yeah.
I guess the one tweak would be to change that animation so that it matches up to the scream.
Yep.
That's the one and only change that I can think of to make in this episode.
And you guys actually had some deep things to change in this one. I got nothing. I mean, there's certain parts that I don't get. Like, I'm sure Dr. Joyce Brothers is a reference that's funny. I don't know. But I found it curious that they were all chuckling about the death of their former union leader.
Yeah, that was weird.
Pray for his safe return. Ha ha ha. I didn't quite get that. But yeah, otherwise it's so good. Yeah, let's just move on to final note time. I realized we didn't do the song before, so BT, take it away.
And now it's time for our final notes. Everyone's final notes.
James.
Final no
Final.
time. There's the scene where Homer is watching the wrestling and he's really hoping that they kill the Iron Yuppie. And that's funny. It's funny to want a wrestler to die live on air, I think.
Yeah.
And for that wrestler to be named Iron Yuppie.
It was also good that, yeah, the hillbilly was Dr. Hillbilly. Like, yeah, nice touch
And
there.
the whole, one wrestler will be unmasked and killed live in the ring. Like, that is such a dramatic escalation. It's great.
Well, I mean, wrestling has been known for some, weird shit like that. Like, there's been
true.
multiple wrestling events with live crucifixions, and there was one match with The Undertaker and Big Boss Man where it ended that Undertaker put Boss Man in a noose and just, had him hanging, and then the whole stadium lights went out.
Wow.
I mean, children go to these events. It's good. It's a great sport, in quotes.
It's an educational experience. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I like Gummy Joe is drinking a can of something called Hip Pop. If Hip
saw
Pop was a real drink, I think I would drink it.
Oh, I was going to look that up as well. What the fuck is a sugar dandy?
I mean, a sugar daddy, the thing stuck to his back.
Is it
Yeah,
a sugar
'cause
daddy or a sugar dandy?
I heard sugar daddy,
Yeah. Sounds like a kind of spider to me.
and I didn't know if that was a term back then.
Okay, well, a Google search was not that helpful. Let's throw in the word popsicle.
Getting a lot of
Oh, there are lots
getting
of,
a lot of people
lots of very
to-
nice men in suits that
Yeah.
want to give me money, though.
who want to fix your hot water.
They want to flick my circuit breaker.
Sugar Daddy, yep, you're right, is a candy bar on a stick manufactured by Tootsie Roll Industries that is essentially a block of moderately hard caramel.
Jesus.
Okay. Well,
You can't say this podcast isn't educational.
Another thing that I really like in this episode is that when Homer thinks Mr. Burns is coming on to him,
yeah.
he says, sure, I'm flattered, maybe even a little curious, but the answer is no. I like that they didn't go full into, gay panic there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Oh,
a
absolutely.
relatively low bar, but for the 90s, it's good.
Yeah, I had a moment like that when with Burns' father, where he's the guys are like, one day we'll sell out to the Japanese. He's like, the Japanese. I'm like, oh no, don't
Oh, no.
besmirch this episode. But then he comes back with those sandal-wearing goldfish tenders, which I feel is such an obscure thing. I don't think it's possible to be insulted by it.
And then follows it up with Flimshaw.
It'd be like calling us, Cooper wearing meat pie eaters or something like that,
Fine.
which
Yeah.
we all are.
I mean,
We're right now. We are.
Yeah. Thank you for Audio Technica for supplying our combination of Cooper headphones as well. The headphone parts are just dangling like the little corks around
Yeah,
it.
you got instead of little corks, you got little pies you can snack on while you're podcasting.
Oh, dude, that is legitimately a good idea.
I have 3 more notes worth bringing up, I think. The whole
Yep.
Beatles sort of reference section
Yeah.
with the yellow submarine stuff is really fun.
Lisa in the sky, but no diamonds.
The little, you can hear Harry Shearer, doing his best impression there. And, the little, help us. It's a lot
Yeah.
of fun. I like that.
help us.
The funny thing is, BT, you mentioned
help us.
this a few weeks ago, Simon Pegg teaching you how to do all the Beatles voices depending on how you position your tongue in your mouth.
Yeah.
Each Beatle is, a different position of your tongue, and you're going hear Harry Shearer essentially doing all of them here.
Yeah.
Very good shit.
All the stuff around the hired goons. This is another repetition joke, but just the repetition of the phrase hired goons. Goons, hired goons, hired goons. And then him
Even
saying
later
it
when-
again after.
Yeah. I prefer the hands-on touch of hired goons. Hired
He still
goons.
doesn't get it. Oh, what a buffoon.
It's just one of those things where the turn of phrase is so funny that they just know that
Yeah.
they can hit it again and it's going to hit well. So.
And was my note for a playlist episode, because I'm pretty sure one of those hired goons is the one that gets hired to beat Homer up at the end of
Who
that
saved
episode.
Mr. Burns' life? That one.
That's the one.
Blood Feud.
Yeah.
Bloodfeed, thank you.
There you go.
And my last note on this is the second episode of The Simpsons to end with everyone laughing hysterically because of gas.
The other
The
playlist.
other one is Black Widower in season 3.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
They want to get out of the gas-filled hallway before they all suffocate.
I forgot about the playlist question this time. What is some
Yeah.
Simpsons
I know.
playlist for this?
We just
Yeah,
covered
I would
that.
call it It's a Gas. And that would be the playlist. Would be those
Would you
two
call it a
episodes.
classical gas?
I would call
Oh.
it Jumpin' Jack Flash. It's a classical gas.
All right, Nick, what do you reckon? Have you got any other final notes?
Couple of notes. The largest TV in the free world, which makes me think there's a bigger TV in the communist world.
Yep.
And it's just showing Bumblebee Man dealing with a stress.
Lastly, in the Burns Grinch bit, he uses the word flunges, and that's a good word.
What's it mean? Do you have one?
I don't think there is a thing that it is. I think it's just a bit of whimsy.
I'm just imagining like a
Yeah.
weird plunger.
Kind of like a cross between a
Yeah.
plunger and a gouger, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not quite a mop, not quite a puppet.
Actually, did you guys see that the other week I posted up on the old socials? I ordered a balloon pump. Backstory, I used to be a clown and I was quite good at making balloon modeling, balloon animals and stuff. And I got back into it recently. And so I bought a balloon pump, and just as a free thing, the company included a stethoscope attached to a plunger end. I think that's a plunger.
Well, now we know.
That is absolutely a
What
flunger.
a funny bit of value add.
That thing you never knew you needed.
I was worried that I might have been drunk at the time, and I was like, "Oh yeah, customers who also bought this."
Sure.
He just included it.
Customers who like balloon gazelles also like hearing the pulse of their toilet blockage.
The assumption that if you're blowing up balloons, you also just want to be a clown is funny. I think.
Yeah.
There are other reasons for him to blow up balloons.
Yeah, you might have a clown coming over.
You might be trying to romance a clown.
You might be going to watch Human Centipede with a clown.
Did you see that Reddit post about the guy with the clown fetish? He posted
Yes.
this. Yeah,
Oh,
this
one of
really
the greatest
specific-
romantic stories of all time.
Yeah. It's so nice. Okay, this guy posts this thing on Reddit. He's like, I'm feeling lost. I have this really severe clown fetish that's hyper specific. Just describing all the stuff he wanted to do. And then there's a follow-up post. It's a woman saw this and was super into it, and we met up. And it was so nice that afterwards we both started crying, and now we're together. It's just a really nice.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Wow.
gory details that won't be shared on this podcast, but Yeah, go type clown fetish Reddit into Google and I'm sure you'll find it.
We're not
Maybe do a
liable
sex
for anything that
search
happens.
Elliot, if I read that and like paragraph 3 is, so then this stethoscope plunger rocked up.
And then I pulled the brakes. No, I'm not into that. Sorry, BT.
Oh, fuck. Sure. Notes. I got those. The computer system that shows Lisa aging in her teeth. I don't know. Something about that just funny.
Yep. I want to pair this to the other episode that we reviewed with you guys, like funny future predicting digital jokes with the Mona Simpson. According to our software, she should be 30 years older.
Yep. There's also a bit where just when Homer's, rallying the guys against signing the contract and he tries to tear it, but he doesn't. So he just starts tearing one page off after. Something about that is just really funny as well. I don't know. I was trying to look for like things that make this episode so good, and it was just that little attention to detail in comedy. We haven't mentioned the me guy. He's in this.
Me.
That's also quite good.
Oh,
It
was him. Such a fascinating tone to his voice. How do you get that closed over sound that he's got? Like it's
kind of a Zoidberg for me. Like I pushed like my tongue into my bottom lip. Me, let's get him, fellas. I'm not doing it good, but anyway.
It's in the ballpark.
Superman doesn't do a good job.
It's on the spectrum of having that kind of closed over, chambered tone to it. Anyway, I've always found that voice really fascinating.
I feel like I've heard that voice in other cartoons as well. I feel like it popped up in the 90s.
It's a little bit, what is
It's
it?
like Droopy Dog.
It is like Droopy Dog.
It is like Droopy Dog.
What a droopy dog he was. Droopy by name, droopy by nature. Nominative determinism. But for a dog.
Oh, no podcast is complete without a reference to nominative determinism.
That's true.
Drink.
Finally. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And the fact that Springfield immediately erupts into looting is very Springfield, and the electronic sign that's like total blackout in effect.
Very good joke.
Yes.
And then when the power comes back on, the montage takes a moment to point out that the fake vomit factory is up and running again.
I love that they were just standing there waiting for the machine to turn back on.
And they would have been standing in pitch black too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've worked jobs like that. So. Dead serious as well. And just the last bit of Homer on the floor, walking in a circle. Whoop, 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 whoop.
That was my other question for the group. Has anyone done this?
Yeah.
I feel like this is a big 90s activity. We're just trying to run around in a circle on the ground. I definitely did it as a kid, but not like as smoothly as Homer did.
No.
I do have a distinct memory of seeing this episode and wondering if it worked, and yeah, it does, and it's a lot of fun, yeah.
I haven't tried in years. Gonna give that a shot. And
remember the 90s?
You really just can't do it after 25.
Baggy pants,
yeah, I was about to say,
Yoho
I feel like it's going to mess my knee up.
Knees that worked, spines that didn't ache.
Spinal insects.
Hope for the future.
Yeah, only a couple of other notes. Think you guys covered most of it. Oh, actually, no, that was it. You guys covered it.
We didn't mention Lenny getting punched in the back of the head. I feel like...
Oh, I even had this... Hold on. That particular black.
And you're right. It's the sound of him enjoying the coffee first.
Yeah.
It just looks like straight up black coffee as well. But I guess it's a really good black coffee.
No, absolutely. Yeah. All right, it is time to rank this thing. And BT, you can go first.
I mean, again, this is one that's hard because it is so iconic to The Simpsons and it's just got those rose-colored glasses all over it. But that said, I went in going, okay, at what point do I get sold? And as already discussed, I hit that point with the back and forth between Homer and Burns, and arguably the episode gets better from there. So I'm going to go straight to the top to the cubic.
James?
I feel like we almost don't even need to do this for this episode. This is like, if you're like reviewing Back to the Future, you don't even really need to mention that it's good. Like it's, this is just,
it gets 88 out of 88.
An obvious cubic zirconia. I think is it Entertainment Weekly that called this the best episode of all time, and then like various other polls. Yeah, it's just look, it's not my absolute favorite episode of all time, and that's probably still Marge versus the Monorail, but this is it's obviously very good. I don't even know what else to say really. It just it hits all the notes. It's very funny. It's about stuff. The characters are good. It just fundamentally understands how to make its jokes work in a way that classic Simpsons excels at. So yes, very good episode. Cubic zirconia feels almost redundant to talk of its praise at this point in the cycle, but I love it.
I feel like you said the same thing for Mother Simpson, and it's like correct. And like these are the episodes that we keep returning to The Simpsons for, and I feel like it is essential in terms of, if you're going to say to people, what are the essential episodes you got to watch from the classic years? This, like, I agree, it's not my absolute favorite, but it's fucking up there. And I absolutely believe this is an essential part of The Simpsons experience. Nick, what you got to say?
Cubic.
Yay!
Keeping it short. All right.
Everything's already been said. There's no point. Like, I also think this episode is good.
Nick just sort of tuned out for a moment there and thought we were talking about measurements that he enjoys.
Cubic. Yeah. Big lover of volume.
Yeah.
What, you've only got square? Mate, I want a third dimension.
Whoa, slow down, Egghead.
Sorry.
All right. Unanimous cubic zirconia. We are giving this episode The Simpsons Index Outstanding... I already fucked it up.
Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence.
We are giving this episode The Simpsons Index Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence Award. Copyright Nick from Pods in the Key of Springfield. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thank you.
All right. And this will be the 6th episode from Season 4 to get the top ranks. It'll be joining Homer the Heretic, Lisa the Beauty Queen, New Kid on the Block, Mr. Plow, and Marge versus the Monorail.
Very good.
And that wraps it up for Season 4 as well. That's getting an average ranking of a shiny gold from us, and that unanimous cubic zirconia just put the average rankings of it over Season 3, which had been beating it for a long time. Will Season 3 come out on top again? We'll see how Colonel Homer goes when we review it in the future.
That's an extremely good episode.
I know.
Yeah.
So, I guess
God, I can't believe we haven't done that
Season
yet.
3 has the advantage of not having a clip show.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, in the same way, Season 6 would be our top ranking season, but the clip show brought it way down.
Yeah,
And that is a particularly bad clip show as well.
The
That's
romance
the
one.
romance one.
Yeah, right.
Which is like a clip show that only references like 4 episodes. It's a weird one.
And does weird truncated versions of all the stories. Yeah, it's bizarre. But like, I think people like have said to us, I'm surprised you guys rank Season 4 so low, but there are a few clunkers in it. Like
Margin Chains.
Margin Chains, and we weren't huge on Whacking Day either. Like, dull gold, but still. And our lowest rating episode that's not a clip show, Brother from the Same Planet as well, we thought was like good but odd. The Pepe episode. What else? I feel like there's a couple of other episodes that make our point.
Whacking Day is a bit of an odd one.
So weird that they included that alt-right green frog meme in an early episode of The Simpsons. Pepe.
Oh, right.
Pepsi.
But also Camp Krusty and Marge Gets a Job didn't get the highest rankings either. But, still a fucking excellent season. And so many dull cubics as well. I think, a lot of people didn't like me for Golding Streetcar, but fuck you, I run this podcast. All right, I think about does it for the Simpsons Index. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
That is all right. Thank you for having us here and making us podcast again.
This is what it takes.
Be nice to see you. I don't know why I'm rambling like this. Good times.
Thank you, A-Train. Thank you, BT.
I was holding off on doing this one for ages because I'd set aside these episodes because I thought you guys would be perfect for them. Hoping for another Adelaide trip, but that fucking thing didn't go away now, did it?
That damn plague.
But no, it's
Wait,
still
what are you
awesome.
talking about? What's the... what prevented you from traveling interstate?
Novel coronavirus, James.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, I've heard about that. What is it exactly?
Look it up on the information superhighway.
Okay,
Let me tell you,
so
there
I go
is
to
nothing
www.coronavirus.org.
Yeah.
Okay.
http://www.
Is that a
having
forward
had
or
it last-
backslash? Sorry, I'm sorry, you talk.
No, you're interrupting my dumb joke. It's probably fine.
What he was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, you were going to say, having caught it a week ago, I can tell you there's nothing novel about it.
A month, but yeah.
That was going to be his bit.
Because remember the week after it when we tried to record a podcast and we were like,
Oh, I remember.
5 minutes in,
And,
I'm like, fucking can't do this anymore.
they're like, I can make it. I'm like, you sound bad. Like, no, I'm good. I just need some water.
So that's what that was like.
Sounded great.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, miss you guys heaps. Can't wait to get back down to
Yeah.
Adelaide in the future and Taiwan on.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And once again, just thank you for coming on the podcast and supporting us all these years. Like coming down to see you guys was the first like interstate trip I made for the podcast before Zoom was a viable option for a lot of people. And that was a whole lot of fun. And it's
Totally.
been fucking unreal getting to know you guys through the years. And
it's been a fucking delight, man. It's always so much fun.
Yeah, it's a real shame we'll never talk again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why we signed that blood pact, but it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, we're both going to prison after this for Crimes Against Podcasting.
I don't recall going to prison.
Police are at the door right now.
Oh no.
Why, all right, mates. Oh, they're cognies.
Wait, James, is prison the lie we're telling so that BT and Elliot don't get offended that we've blocked them?
No, Nick, it's the prison of our own making that we live within every day.
Oh, it's a metaphorical prison that we're going to.
Yes, but it is also literal. We are being taken away.
We are
after
being taken
the
away.
end of this recording, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
That's okay.
well, before we get the police take you away, why don't you tell the people out there where they can find you on the internet, assuming you
Sure.
want to be found.
Well, we have this podcast. It's called Pods in the Key of Springfield. It's like this one, but shorter.
After the reformat, mine will be shorter as well, and I can't fucking wait.
Let's see. I am on Twitter at JICKLE. Spelled Jekyll, pronounced Jekyll. You can follow me if that is a thing you would like. I'm on some other social media. I don't know. You can find me if you want. I don't know. Should I promote any of the stuff that the company I work for works on? Probably not. It's fine. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll get the inside goss.
No, seriously, download Conan Chop Shop. That game fucking rules.
Yeah, you have to pay money for it. So pay the money and then have the game and then play the game. It's good.
Nick.
I just want to say to the Argentinian listeners once more,
No olvides darle me gusta y suscribirte.
don't forget to like and subscribe for any Argentinians listening. Or actually, that's Spanish. So anyone from the Spanish-speaking diaspora doesn't have to be Argentina. Could be, I don't know, someone in Spain.
Wow, that quick phrase contained all of those words.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, hang on, no, sorry. I added some bit at the end there. Because I realised I've been specifying Argentina, where actually that's just Spanish.
Yeah, what's the
Anyway.
Spanish word for diaspora again?
It's a fantastic question.
Wow, fantastic question. It sounds just like English.
Got him. I'm Nick Ibis on Twitter. You can follow me if you want, but it's not really interesting.
And Pods in the Key of Springfield is still the best Simpsons podcast. Yeah.
Oh,
Fuck
thank you.
everybody
man.
else.
No argument. Here it is.
And BT, what else are we up to?
Well, they can check out our other podcasts, which include Thrones of Game, the Game of Thrones podcast where we watch the series backwards, or our scripted fiction podcast, Pulp Fury Radio, where we take all original scripts across a range of pulp genres and present them to you, lovely people, with sound effects and actors and Foley and music and all that good stuff. Working on a second season right now when I'm not doing this. Or if that's all too complicated, you can just go to patreon.com/SideQuest Studios and you can see like all the stuff, including the exclusive podcasts, that you can only get by following us on Patreon. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, we've just started a new series now where we're reviewing movies that star the Simpsons cast, and that's been
It's a lot of fun.
an interesting array of movies. We've watched, like the 98 Godzilla, Maximum Overdrive, Twilight Zone, the movie, and what was the ones we just watched? Quiz Show.
We just did and a Mighty Wind.
and A Mighty Wind, which is like a
nice.
Christopher Guest movie, which is very, very good.
Oh, you can watch Spinal Tap. Harry Shear's in that.
But you have to be one of our heroes on Patreon to suggest a movie, so we can't suggest one yet.
Oh, okay. So if you want to hear, Elliot and BT have an awkward discussion, I imagine about the Twilight Zone and the death of Vic Morrow, then that's a great place to go and listen to that.
We did.
It's a good thing that the Twilight Zone, that was the first segment, because we were able to move off from that and end the episode with a bang with the fucking wild-ass Joe Dante and George Miller segments.
Yeah, so the takeaway is, fuck you, John Landis.
Yes, that was our takeaway too.
Wow.
And Max Landis, fuck you as well.
Oh, fuck Max Landis especially.
Yeah. But if any of our Patreon heroes are listening and would like to suggest This Is Spinal Tap, wink.
Yeah. A song, a movie that I think, obeys the song dictum by having the whole song just be independently good beyond just being, you know, a satire. So those songs don't need to just be 2 lines because they are entirely funny beginning to end.
Their song that's not even in the movie, Majesty of Rock, is one of my all-time favorites to just chuck on and watch. The clip is amazing.
So yeah, go check that out, patreon.com/sidequeststudios. And that's my voice going, so better call it there.
Yep.
Until then, once again, thank you, BT.
Hoy hoy.
Thank you, Captain Nick.
Flunges.
Thank you, Jackal.
I really have nothing funny to say. Thank you, Elliot.
Atoms.
6 of them.
And I've been your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter or Instagram. Now, there's no bonus scenes for this episode, so we'll catch you next week.